Yeah, and like I always said, guys, if you enjoy getting fucked, just get a PlayStation. You know. Oh no, I'm sorry. Hey, what's up, guys? We are live. What's up? How's it going? Hey, welcome to Xbox Ultimate Podcast, episode number 106. I didn't realize, holy shit, we're actually here. We're just having a private conversation.
Oh, did you
Uh,
say that on air?
what? Oh yeah. Oh, no, did I? I don't know. Did y'all catch that? We'll see. Wow. Hey, thanks everybody for tuning into the show. What's up? What's up to all the amazing chat? I see PTK here. What's up, Shardy? What's up? RSJ. Pat Man, how's it going? Tony Grass. So wow. Anime, how's it going, dude? Calarie, what up? What up? Wow, that's awesome people here. What's up, Chris Jones? I know Chris Jones is super happy today.
Suikoden 1 and 2
Yep.
HD coming
Yep.
back. Oh god, I can't wait.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome news. I'm sure it brought a tear to his eye. Well, guys, we also have an awesome panel here. Look, we have 3-bit again. It's amazing, but we'll get to his intro in a second. But first off, we have a first in my heart, my lovely wife, Kaitlin, who's made some interesting tweets today. I don't know where she gets this stuff from, but hey, baby, how are you?
Hi. That's how I feel when I look at that picture.
Hey.
Like when someone says, like when I say, ew, anime, like that's the face that I picture that I'm making. But yeah, so anime. But now I'm in the market for a PlayStation.
Oh.
So
well, Mav's got one in his room.
like,
Mav uses his. So
I do.
just borrow
like getting a fuck, then get a PlayStation.
Yeah. Is that why you want one?
You forgot the cry part. It's not just fucked. It's cry
I'm
fucked.
fucked.
Yeah.
It's an emotional experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, hey guys.
Yeah. Hey. The amazingly talented 3-bit is here, like I said, he's like I'm starting to worry about him because he's actually been here so consistently lately. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Hello everyone. Good to be on another
Are you
episode.
single? Are you single now?
No.
Is that what's happening? Oh,
No.
okay. All right.
No.
Just had to check.
She's actually gonna come over mid in a couple minutes.
Okay.
But yeah, it's good to be on another episode of Xbox Ultimate. Sony is up to their usual shenanigans, taking advantages of their consumers because I know people will pay for it regardless. So ready to talk about that. Good to be here. Hello, chat. Let's get to it.
Yeah, man. The realist himself, the Debbie Downer, the lore master, the Disney Dream Light Valley pumpkin harvester extraordinaire.
Yeah, Paul will water my damn crops. I keep asking him to help water the crops, and he's like, no.
What's up, Jasper?
It's going all right. Just played a little Insurgency this morning, and then just kind of watch YouTube. That's what I've been up to. So not much.
I need to get that installed, so we can play with Fuzzy also, because Fuzzy's a big Insurgency fan. And how's it going, Fuzz? How are you?
Doing pretty good, man. Playing a little bit of Insurgency, playing a lot of Division, and playing a little bit of Gran Turismo lately, and having fun all around. But man, glad to be here. So much Sony BS going on. Can't wait to get into it.
Yeah.
But man, it's going to be an awesome show today.
I usually try, like, on this show to stay mostly Xbox talk, obviously, right? But sometimes it just gets so ridiculous. And you know what I mean? It's getting so old, the stuff out there, how public like Sony's trying to be with their arguments against the whole Activision Blizzard acquisition, and trying to play the victim out to the public, and trying to make their fans and their audience think they're being a victim of Microsoft potentially in the future. Meanwhile, they go and they fucking slapped them in the face and shit all over them again. And I'm a PlayStation owner, so this, like, the constant attitude and arrogance right now for me is starting to get really annoying, and I would really like for people to ask for better and not this hypocritical stance that Sony stands on, where they are saying that they're trying to look out for the gamer, especially their gamers. Meanwhile, price increases not on games, price increases on hardware, more expensive subscription service, lack of back compatibility out of the gate originally for the PlayStation, which they've helped to remedy that somewhat with the their subscription service. However, they also now have announced today that the VR system that they have is not going to be compatible with PSVR 1 games.
Are we not introducing Pong?
Did I forget Pong? Oh my god.
I thought you were just going on a rant here, so I was just gonna let you roll because you've
No,
done so much.
I was gonna go to
already.
you first on this, to be fair. So, yeah, it was just kind of, really annoying today seeing all this stuff, especially at the last few days and the last week of seeing this crying from them. But yeah, Pong DM'd me and he told me to make this tweet. So he said he was too afraid to, so I did it on his behalf.
Totally,
Yeah,
totally.
but how are you doing, Pong?
I'm doing better, a little bit each day. So not 100% yet, but
Yeah.
even better than last night when we did PM and the PM. So great to be here, fam. Great to see you all. I'm glad I could actually, get through it and
Yeah.
be able to podcast with you guys. I was not so sure about Tuesday whether or not that was going to happen this week, but
Yeah.
got through it anyways. So I'm here. Actually had a lot of fun today. I tried out the Wolong demo that came out.
Nice.
And it is really good. I take back what I said to Steel in the DMs. I said, Steel, I'm not getting Souls vibes here. I'm getting more Ninja Gaiden because I never played Neo. But then I started getting to the point where I ran out of arrows and couldn't stealth so much. And all of a sudden, I was, you get 2-3 guys on you at the same time, and it was over with real quick. Yeah, I know, pause. I knew that was coming. But yeah, but a great demo. It does have its issues on Xbox. Some people are getting crashes all the time. I get a screen that pops up that said there's an error and I got to close out the screen, but the game keeps running. So it's just more annoying than anything else. But really cool to see Team Ninja. This has got potential. The AI is super dumb. I will say that right now. The AI is incredibly dumb. But otherwise, cool game. Otherwise, been grinding in a little bit 2K3 or 2K23, and then that's been about it. Ni no Kuni, of course, the remaster that dropped for TGS. So that's all I've been doing this week. But great to be here. Great to see everybody in chat, and we're gonna have a lot to talk about. And Mav is obviously riled up, so buckle up.
Before we get into the main topic, did any of you all watch the Sega show today?
Oh, they had a show today?
Yeah. Yeah, they had a show. But what I found interesting out of the Sega show, like they had the middle part of it was them talking about Gotham Knights, Harry Potter game coming out, and like Goat Simulator. Apparently Sega publishes like a lot of Western games for Sony. I found that like really interesting. I was like, that like never really comes
weird.
up.
Yeah. Yeah,
like give me an example of one of those games again.
Gotham Knights, the Harry Potter Legacy. That's 2 WB games, but they also did Goat Simulator, which is Coffee Stain, which is owned by Embracer.
And it's being published in the West, you said, by Sega?
No, in the East.
Oh, in the East. Okay, I thought you said the West. I was like,
yeah, they do Western games for Sony.
For Sony. Yeah. Okay.
I just found that kind of weird.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It is interesting. I didn't know they had a show. I saw that there was a bunch of Sonic stuff that came out and stuff, so I thought they had shown it off on the floor, but I didn't think that they actually had a show today. I missed it.
Yeah,
Damn.
I'll have to go back and check it out. What did they show like overall?
It was Sonic for like 15 minutes, and there was that middle section with talking about their games they're publishing for Sony, and then I forgot what they ended on, but
why like Sony? Why can't they publish their own games in the East?
I don't know, but it's also WB, so why can't they publish their own games?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it helps with the. I don't know. Like, does it make sense? I don't know.
Sega's publishing arm is gigantic over there, though, right? So, I mean, that's one of the main things why we want Xbox to buy Sega, because it'd be just Xbox One.
Yeah,
that is interesting, though. I wonder what is behind that. If there's money, or if they just have a longer reach in some areas, in like certain different areas. I don't know. That's really strange though, Jasper. Interesting. I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, I'll watch. I'm curious to watch that back too. Yeah. So today, like I was mentioning, like we got the news from PlayStation that the PSVR 1 games are not going to be compatible on PSVR 2. Meanwhile, PlayStation is screaming at the top of their lungs for the regulators to pretty much try and get concessions or block this Activision Blizzard deal because they want the best for their fans. They want the best for their gamers, the PlayStation gamers that matter the most to them, right? Because it's inadequate for Xbox and Microsoft to offer, a game franchise to be on their system only for a certain amount of years. They want to make sure that their fans and their gamers are completely taken care of, right? Meanwhile, they're sitting there kind of screwing them over left and right without any kind of backlash or comments from a lot of the apologists out there. And it kind of pales in comparison to kind of what Xbox's vision is for the future of gaming and where things are headed with what their messaging is, with the services that they're providing, and what they're even trying to accomplish with this acquisition in the first place. So, is there going to be a change? I think this is what I want to ask, and is there going to be a change at some point with the mentality of the gamer to the point where enough is enough at some point, or is this just like, hey, they're number one, they get away with it, and let's just keep accepting it, keep taking it for as long as we can, because guess what? We get some good games, right? Is that kind of the mentality, or are we going to see a change? What will it take to see a change? That's even a better question.
It's going to take them to fall from the number one spot. So the minute that they see their numbers dropping dramatically and they see Xbox rising, past them, is probably when it'll take. I mean, that's what it took in the PS3 era, right? So they screwed up with the PS3, but they doubled down on that mistake. And it wasn't until Xbox 360 took off that they started reversing course and started fixing things and started changing things, right? That's Sony's MO when it comes to this. When they go this route and they decide that they are in the right and they're going to do what they do, and their fans are going to take it, fans are going to praise them, and they're just going to, keep chugging along no matter if there's warning signs on the track that the track is broken down the road. They're just going to keep going until they can't anymore. And I think that that's probably what it's going to take is a fall from that number one spot, and before they actually do anything, because I don't think you're ever going to find enough Sony gamers to rise up all at one time to make a difference as far as just talking about it and saying something and demanding better and asking Sony to change things. I just don't think you're ever going to see it. It's a lot like the Nintendo fan base. It's too hardcore. They no matter what will stand by. Yes, you'll have certain people that drift off and finally say enough's enough, but the core is going to remain stubborn and say, no, we're all behind this. This is all good. Sony says it's good, so it's good. Give us more. So I think it's going to take a big fall for Sony again to get the picture that this can't be the way they can continue to do business. What's really interesting about today, Mav, is this is like, we've seen this happen this gen more than I can remember, just because they dominated obviously last gen so much. But Sony doesn't make this type of mistake where they had great news, right? They had a great state of play this week, and then follow it up the same week. Yes, you did it on a Friday, which is bad news Friday dump, right?
Yeah.
But to follow it up on that same week with the news that your, PSVR 2, the PSVR games are not going to be backwards compatible with the PSVR 2. That's another one of those oddball Sony stumbles that we never saw last gen. Like we always said, they got bad news, something good is coming, right? That's how they always did it. We get the bad news out of the way, and then we give you a state of play. We give you a showcase.
I don't think this news though was like schedules come out. I think the guy in the podcast where it came from was just like talking, and it kind of slipped out, and everyone caught on attention to that, and it was like, oh my god, we can't play PSVR games or whatever. But
if that's the case, Jasper, then it's still another rare mistake from Sony's PR side of things, right? They have everything on lockdown. Whoever's out there talking in these interviews, and I don't even know who it was. Do we know what position the guy had?
It said it was official PlayStation podcast. I don't know who was like on it or whatever.
Yeah. That's why I'm curious about who was actually speaking, because again, that's just stuff we never used to see last gen. And again, probably because they dominated, they didn't have to do a whole lot. So whatever, they weren't stumbling over themselves. But this generation, with Microsoft now being in the position it is, and them being worried, we're seeing more and more mistakes out of Sony, and it's leading to this now this weird spot for Sony where they can't get out of their own way. This used to be Xbox's thing last gen. Now it's all Sony. Sony just can't seem to get on a solid roll without something popping up. And lately it's been even more so, obviously, with all the public bickering with Microsoft now. I mean, that's just done them in completely 100% to a lot of people. So, yeah, I think it's just going to take a fall now. It's going to take a big fall for them to realize that they've got to change their ways.
Well, they've already lost so much market share, especially in the US this generation, right? And we see a lot of the first party releases that have released for PlayStation are, even though they're still getting solid, good reviews and people are saying they're good games, they're not selling as well as they did last generation either, right? You saw that with Horizon Forbidden West. You saw that recently with The Last of Us Part 1 remake that was that $70 remake of a game when we even saw that sold half as much in its first week as Saints Row did in its first week, which, as much as that was criticized for being kind of a half-assed game as
damaged $100 editions that came
damaged
out.
And then before that, it was the console price increase in the same markets that they're trying to raise a big stink over about Xbox
and then
buying
right after
Activision.
the price increase, it was we're making it cheaper. So it's like
right.
And then they're making it cheaper. Like it's like one thing after another. And it started this generation when they announced that they believe in generations and the whole controller thing where they weren't gonna even allow you to use your PS4 controllers on a PS5. Then it went into now we're behind the $70 games.
Capable. It wasn't anything hindering it.
No,
just didn't want to do it.
You could, and you can even play those games on PC with those controllers, right? Or
they literally just blocked it.
Yeah, it just goes into this like anti-consumerism where they're trying to make a case against Xbox for being anti-consumer potentially in the future, right? And it just like is starting to become like so arrogant, which I mean they've been an arrogant company before, right? But this is to the extreme now, right? To a level that we haven't even seen. I would say even in the PS3 days where they came out and they struggled at first, they started doing a lot more positive things after that. But in this day and age now, it's like they just like said, fuck it. We're just going to do what we want to do. And if anybody doesn't like it, so what? We're just going to send this message. We're going to sell this message. We're going to pretty much take advantage of every single ounce we can get from the
again,
consumer.
that's kind of what Nintendo does. They'll make a new console.
I agree.
Where you can't use your old stuff, and they'll sell you the same game they sold you 5 times over. So
it's
it's like
Nintendo's stuck in a time capsule of like.
And I think
20
we're seeing
years
the
ago,
shift
right?
of PlayStation kind of taking that model, and since PlayStation's like this, it's Xbox and PlayStation is the two hardcore systems. Whereas PlayStation's taking that model, there's a little bit more uproars. Whereas Nintendo, it's been like that for 40 years or whatever, so it's like no one cares.
There's the difference between the two for me though is like Nintendo kind of separated themselves from that market a little bit and has its own niche thing, and they are doing things like I said in a time capsule. Even the games are like in a time capsule almost, right? And those games are really different. Where like PlayStation, Xbox has like the similar types of games, right? So it's like there's more apples to apples between a PlayStation and an Xbox than there is between Nintendo. When I give Nintendo shit all the time, like I cannot stand the way they do business as well. Like the whole Mario remasters they did, where you only could buy them for 3 months. Disney vaulted their games, right? I mean that's just like insane. However, you know what I mean. Like it's not necessarily, even though it's in the same gaming market, it's not in direct competition with Xbox. I don't feel like. I feel like PlayStation and Xbox are more in competition in the console space with each other. And when I compare the two, I feel like PlayStation's trying to do Nintendo things, but they're trying to do it with the AAA gaming market like Xbox has as well. But the issue that PlayStation has is their games ain't selling that attachment rate that Nintendo has, right? So if you're not selling like the 20, 30 million plus per game, it doesn't seem to work that way for PlayStation. And PlayStation's taking it further with the price increases also. That's something Nintendo's at least not doing. Where Nintendo never gives you a discount, at least Nintendo hasn't gone up, right? On their console, they haven't gone up on their games. They are not charging more for the subscription service that's inferior. It's stuff like this is starting to, it's just compiling itself. And this PSVR thing today. Now, I've seen people say, like, hey, well, you know, at least they have the VR, right? Well, like, okay, fine. Anybody that releases a product, you got to stand behind that shit, right? And when you release a product, you got to look at how is this affecting that consumer and going forward and making sure they don't get fucked, right? They released that product last generation. Anybody who bought that now will not be able to play any of those games they bought on the new hardware. In this day and age, that's just horseshit, especially on a next-gen gaming console. Period. Point blank, no argument. You can make sure from the ground floor when you're developing that is a priority, right?
But not if you want to resell the games.
Not if you want to resell the damn games, right?
Correct.
And remember the whole "we believe in generations" thing? You know, that's the excuse for that. Wherein the whole argument was bullshit in the first place because any of the new titles available on both platforms, even the biggest ones released so far, including God of War this holiday.
Right.
So this whole argument's everything they've been preaching and preaching and preaching. It's just been like talking out of their ass, right? And spewing this message while doing something completely different. And that's when it goes to those regulators and stuff. And they're saying one thing, trying to be like, hey, Microsoft is the bad guys, right? They're gonna damage the gaming industry by giving you too much for a good price. Like, what? Who does it damage? It damages Sony. It damages their bottom line. And any regulators out there that their priority is protecting the number one entity in an industry is not protecting competition.
Really feels like the magic trick where you're just like, ooh, look over here, but don't look at what I have over here, because they're pretty much being very hypocritical with this whole acquisition. And I'm your main question was basically, what do you think is Sony ever going to change, essentially?
What would it take for them to, like,
what would it take?
Yeah.
I don't think I pretty much in agreement with Pong. I don't think they will willingly change. I think it will take something like Xbox taking the market lead, which is why they're so strung on Call of Duty. Call of Duty makes a lot of their money, and a lot of that money will now go to Microsoft. In terms of the gamers, I mean, gamers have this public perception towards Sony that it's the premium product. And when they see PlayStation, they see like, oh, they make quality games. And I think in order to change that perception, it's literally just it's going to take Xbox starting to just constantly release content into Game Pass to the point that gamers can't ignore. They're already doing that right now, but to the extent where you get a Fable, you get Elder Scrolls, you get Starfield, you get when it gets to that point, I think that's when gamers will start to turn their heads a little bit. But in terms of Sony, they're stubborn. They're not gonna change much. In fact, I feel like they'll just double down on these type of decisions where it's sort of it's anti-consumerism, you know. Anything they can do to increase the price of something or make you buy something again, they will take that decision. They've been doing it since the launch of the PS5,
and they learned it from Apple. 3-bit.
Do we know when their last investor call was? Because once the investors start seeing their money not getting returned, that's when they'll be like, shit, we got to do something. So whenever the next investor call is, if they see that their profits are down and they're not getting the return, then they're going to start questioning like what we need to do to fix that.
I mean, it's weird because PlayStation is their profitable. That is their profitable division. Like Sony has the movie division and then their products like their TVs and stuff. PlayStation is like their bread and butter, and they rely on PlayStation for a lot. So that's why you see decisions like these, where they'll basically increase the price but put in cheaper parts and things like that. It's basically because Sony relies on PlayStation to basically function as a whole. Where Microsoft has, you turn on your computer, Microsoft makes money. They have so many avenues of revenue to the point where Xbox is starting is being backed by Satya this time around, but it wasn't always, and we'll see. I mean, it's a reason why Phil keeps saying the top competitors isn't Sony. Sony is not in their limelight of competitors, and you can also tell the way Phil responds to Sony's things, like, we are not taking away Call of Duty. You know, he keeps repeating that, but Sony's like, no, they're taking it away. They're taking it away.
They only sent us a 3-year deal.
Yeah, they only said it's 3. What about forever? Like,
yeah,
you know, they're saying that while Call of Duty is having exclusive content. Like, how can you say you're afraid of them being evil and taking over the industry while you're simultaneously making exclusive content in Call of Duty?
That's what I'm like getting really tired of here. Like, just how fake Jim Ryan is. Like, he's just I hate fucking liars, and like that's all he's been doing the past like 4 months. I'm just like, I can't anymore. Just like, stop talking, sir. It's like, get out of the picture. I'm tired of hearing your bullshit.
Yeah. Fuzzy, like you were about to chime in on this, but like the overall, you know, it was the last investors call that they had, actually, like the software sales were down significantly, right?
Yeah. They had to buy back shares even.
Right. So what is, like, if that's not working, and maybe after a long enough times with a year to date being down 40% overall as a company,
they should invest in blockchain.
Oh my god! Don't take advice from Square Enix. That's what Sony should not do. Do you think that could be the next step? I mean, is that behind what these moves are? Because they feel like, okay, where backs are against the wall potentially, so they're just gonna try and take advantage of every nugget they can get. I don't understand exactly why they're doing what they're doing.
I think they see that the light is dimming at the end of the tunnel, kind of thing. And it's not that it's going to be, you know, closure or anything like that. It's just that it's going to be a loss in margin or loss in profits in comparison to what they've been used to the past, you know, 7 to 10 years. I think the big thing now is when you look at that price increase on the revision of the PlayStation 5, where they're saving every dollar they can, you know, cutting costs here and there. They were cutting costs on packaging, which kind of came back to bite them. Yes, they reached out to some of the people that had the initial complaints. We'll see if they resend packaging, because, I mean, resending cardboard for a company that bought and in mass should be an easy solution, so it shouldn't be too much of a loss for them.
I think they just stay quiet and they're just hoping it goes away. I don't think they're
well, no,
doing anything about it.
They at least reached out to a handful of people, but they're being quiet at the wrong time and making noise at the wrong time. It's like they're just stepping on rakes everywhere they go. So when you look at how they are raising the price and cutting costs, this is their way of, okay, we see the writing on the wall. We're not going to have that market share and all the extra money that we've been getting through Call of Duty. It's not that we're going to lose it all together. We're just going to lose a nice, you know, Christmas bonus, basically. I think the figures are somewhere around 2 to 3 billion a year is what they make in the microtransactions and storefront stuff just on Call of Duty alone. So I think they see that that's going to be cut in half, if not smaller. So they got to make extra dollars any way they can. They're starting to see that the $70 price tag has kind of made people pause on buying or wait for sales more, even though digital is definitely a higher margin than what it was in the early PS4 era. But still, there's more margins being made on digital software sales, but it's still a slower sale compared to when they were $60. Sure, your diehard fans are going to champion, oh, I'll pay 80 or 90 for the games. I'll pay 800 for a bundle. And it's like, well, when they look at the numbers, there's only a handful of these people that are doing that, because otherwise they wouldn't have to bundle in things like Horizon Zero or Forbidden West in with the PlayStation. So I think all the bad stuff that they've done is kind of catching up with them. It's funny how it almost mirrors to some extent what Xbox did at the beginning of the last generation. They came out with the hardware. They didn't want to, split it up, or whoever was in charge at the beginning, Matrick at the beginning, didn't want to take the camera out because he figured that was the token to their, success or pushing these types of games, and that everybody would pick it up like they did with the original Kinect or the Wii U or the Wii, at least their nearest competitor at the previous gen. But Sony is now focused on the remasters as opposed to making sequels of games that people have asked for, even though they didn't get the Metacritic score that people wanted. Like a Days Gone 2, I think, would probably land better than what The Last of Us remake did, especially considering they didn't do factions. I guess they couldn't time it or get things going to get factions, the re-release of factions or update for factions in time for that. So either that or they purposely split them up so they could make extra dollars, because what better way to charge you $70 twice than to sell you the remake and then later on have factions, or maybe have it as an incentive to pad their PS Plus premium numbers by saying, okay, factions is free if you subscribe. So they're making what appears to be bad decisions, but I think the writing is kind of on the wall. They got to start pinching pennies or squeezing these nickels, or nickels and dimes out of their customers any way they can. And the PSVR to PSVR 2 boggles my mind. Like, if you can play a PS4 game on your PS5, why the hell can't you play a PSVR game on PSVR 2? Like, is it a resolution thing?
It has to do with their cameras and their motion tracking thing, which in my opinion is bullshit, because there's on PC, that's not an issue. Like, there's different systems that use different technologies and all this kind of stuff, and it may take updates to the games, right? Which, oh my god, that is going to cost us money. Holy shit. We can't do that. But you know what we can do? We can update it and charge the customer. That's going to be amazing. They're going to love that when we come out with that great remaster make.
It's like that same crowd that was saying like Godfall is only possible on PS5. Like, it's like the same crowd. Like
Ratchet and Clank.
PSVR,
all that shit,
Ratchet and Clank is only possible with the power
only
of the SSD.
Yeah, it's like,
it
just
ridiculous.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I just right now Sony is just grasping at straws and hoping anybody will listen as far as any of these regulatory bodies. And if they can get some more stall time or some concessions to, maybe extend, the untethered version of Call of Duty to their box. I mean, they're going to lose the marketing rights, which is probably the main thing that they're concerned about. But they just want to stall for time. I mean, we've talked about it kind of before with the games as a service. This is like they should have did this stuff like 5 or 6 years ago, kind of deal, where they saw how multiplayer or live service games are, kind of where people are gravitating to. They should have pushed that initiative, middle of the PS4 generation, so that way it would have been ready by PS5. But I guess in hindsight now they kind of are kicking themselves. But yeah, it's they're going to have a rude awakening this generation. I think they're going to see a bigger hit than what they saw at the beginning of the PS3 generation. Not that it's going to close their doors in any way. They'll still be alive and survive and make money. It's just, I think it'll make it easier for my ultimate prediction of somebody like Amazon to be like, how does 70 billion or 80 billion sound, Sony, or 100 billion or something to that effect, that we'll take loans out and we can definitely cover you or integrate you into Amazon, and you can.
Then Xbox is going to be like, what Amazon acquiring that's going to be inadequate for our gamers at Xbox.
Oh yeah. Oh, you know what?
Question for you guys. So do you guys think by doing it, like, do you guys think Sony will damage its relationships with publishers or Xbox by fighting with the CMA? Like, you have other companies like publicly supporting them, like Meta and I think a
Nobody
few
has
others
come
are
out
like,
and publicly even challenged Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard, except for
no, I'm
Sony.
saying they publicly like accepted, like,
Right.
hey, this is
They
this is
won't
fine.
they won't damage it because those companies also care about money at the end of the day. And if they cut out half the competitor, they're going to lose half their money. So it's like they don't care. They just
It,
want money on
it
more
could
games on more places
potentially
for more money.
it been maybe hurting contract negotiations potentially in the future, stuff like that.
I was gonna say that what they've already done the damage by all these BS deals that
Yeah.
they've done. Again, they never forced anybody. They didn't have CEOs of these publishers locked up in basements threatening them. Okay, we all know that.
Yeah.
But we also know we've heard enough stories now, and everybody can cry and scream all they want. Sony doesn't do. There's enough stories out there to suggest that Sony has implied or directly said, if you want games on our system, we want this. Okay, if you want to continue to put games on our system, we want this. They use their number one position to bully people all over the industry. They already did their damage. So I think there's probably a lot of publishers like the Capcoms, like the Bandai Namcos that you now see strengthening their relationship with Xbox. They want Xbox to rise up, right? Because once Xbox gets to a point where the mind share, and we've already seen the US, but across the world, hopefully globally, that they can equal out Sony or actually take the lead over Sony, then yes, those publishers are going to do more favorable deals like with Game Pass and that kind of stuff with Microsoft, looking back at Sony and going, yeah, guess what? You reap what you sow. You made us sign all those deals. You made us do this, that, the other. You made all those threats to us. Guess what? Now there's a new big dog in town. We're going to go ahead and side with this person. Not that they're not going to put their games on PlayStation. Obviously, that's never going to happen. But those favorable deals that Sony got all the time are starting to disappear already. You can see it changing. And I think that just continues the more Microsoft gets popular.
Yeah, that's 100%.
Remember that Epic email where they were complaining to Sony about the crossplay? I just wonder if we'll see more of that pushback. That basically, I was thinking about that with the question, like,
well,
what other companies are willing to be like, you know what, maybe this is not okay. You're charging us more crossplay. You are basically pushing us back from other services like Game Pass that could be better for us. Or you know,
well, the side of that,
I just
like,
wonder.
I think their arrogance 3-bit is already having that effect in the market, because you've already seen market share swaying towards Xbox. In the US are almost even, right? It's almost 50-50 in the US, right?
You saw that happen without any huge first party.
Right, exactly. And then in all of these other territories, like, even though Xbox isn't 1-to-1 this generation, it's way closer than it was previously, and it's still going like this, right? That gap is shrinking. So in the effect where it's going to have an effect on their partners and publishers, the market share alone is going to have that effect on the contracts and deals that they can make with people in those territories. And where you have one company preaching out value to consumers and all this without even having a lot for the first party so far, like you said, you know, there's so much value being there that it's already winning over a lot of people, right? Like they said in the interview, we're going to get into this Phil interview yesterday, like I think it was like 50% of the new consumers and 50% of the gamers in Asia that have purchased are new consumers to Xbox, right?
Right.
And that's a huge number. That's not something Sony wants to see, right? Because those people may have been more on the Sony side before, or maybe they're leaving that side.
Saw that price increase, and they're like, let me try Xbox.
Yeah. So there's all these little moves, like starting from towards the end of last generation, moving all the way into this with the messaging and stuff, is just having a effect where Sony's doing this to themselves. More as much as they want to cry about Xbox and Game Pass and all these different things, their arrogance is doing this to themselves. It's like a self implosion of like, and this happened early in the PS3 generation, and it ended up causing them to change, right, a little bit. But in this time right now, little move after little move after little move, and you're gonna have some excitement because when they have a great show, like State of Play was fantastic the other day, and you're gonna have different things. But then when it's hampered again and again by this negativity, it's
I
just
still
like I
think
don't know.
it's gonna take like how the 360 generation, how 360 led the first like half, and then PlayStation kind of led that second half. I think it's gonna take that time where Xbox will lead the second half, but right now PlayStation's still gonna lead that first half because you're still
Mhm.
seeing smaller devs decide to put their games on PlayStation first
Sure.
because
Yeah.
there's more users there.
Well, just
So
think about what's going to happen, because the argument against place is the Xbox is still the same, right? That it's been for a long time. Right now is like what, and you see this whenever you like complain about something on social media, something that Sony just did. It's like, well, at least we have games. You know what I mean? Like, and it's the same old stupid ass argument, which is, I mean, it has some relevance to it with first party for sure, especially this year. However, that argument's not going to hold up in the long term. In fact, it's actually going to be reversed unless they start to make more investments and more investments, which they already started to do to try and offset this. They see the future coming. They know what's going to happen, right? That's why they've been as actively acquiring as a lot of the other publishers out there. They got to stock up. They have to stock up for this future. Once this avalanche, and again, we went over all these games and projects are in the works, and this didn't even include Activision Blizzard being a part of the portfolio for Xbox. But once that avalanche of stuff really hits Game Pass with all these AAA big time titles hitting once a quarter, then there's no if, ands, or buts anymore, right? There's no more but this. I like getting fucked because at least I get to get fucked because I got the games, I got the toys to play with, right? Like over there, they don't even have the toys.
why do you think they call them bangers?
Right, exactly. It's like choose your weapon of choice. It's like, all right, I don't understand overall that mentality because people just ignore what's coming a lot of times. They only see what's here and now. And I get that that's what matters most. What's here what right today because we can only try and predict the future. However, all of these things have been announced and all of these things we know are coming. All of these things, all these acquisitions have been made. All of this stuff is in the pipeline. And you can't think that Sony in their meetings aren't looking at that and seeing like this pipeline that they know is going to happen in a service like Game Pass and be like, shit, how are we going to compete? Their answers to this question is what opposite of what they should be. We're going to compete by fucking our customers more. That's not how you compete. That's not how you survive in this industry. You're going to have to change your ways, and eventually they will. But they're trying to cling on and grab as many.
They're Klingons?
Yeah, they're trying to cling on to as much as they can and take advantage of what they can while they can. And they're trying to use that mind share and market advantage they have right now to convince regulators and their fans about the opposite is the enemy. The value is the enemy. Paying more is the right thing to do. Because guess what? That's what we've been doing. That's the way it's always been. You don't want something you're not used to. Well, that's bad. You can't have something like that. It gives you too much games for a little bit of money. That's going to be bad for the industry. Oh, man. You hear me, regulators? Listen, regulators. Listen, people. You don't want Microsoft buying this game studio because guess what? It's not going to be on PlayStation anymore because you matter most. Well, fuck you. If you matter most, then why am I charging you more?
But this is why I think a couple different things. First, on 3-Bits devs and publishers thing too. Let's not forget that Microsoft talked about cutting all the fees across their stores as well, both console and PC. Now, obviously, inflation, the world's issues right now may have delayed that, but when they implement that, that's going to entice devs and publishers even more because Sony's fees are still going to be the same. They're not going to cut their fees by any stretch of the imagination. And I think that, Matt, to your last point, this is why I think that this was a bait by Microsoft, by Phil, the attorneys, when they did this in public and got Jim and Sony very angry to the point where they are now doing this big time war of words in the public space, because I think that Sony is really screwing themselves over at the end of the day, because when they go to make a bigger move, now we all know they can't make an Activision Blizzard move, but if they do go buy a publisher at some point, a smaller publisher, it's still going to go under regulation. And now Microsoft and Xbox get to educate all these regulators, all the same people that are going to be reviewing a deal down the road for Sony are now going to have the entire playlist, Sony's playlist laid out by Microsoft and Xbox. Microsoft and Xbox are setting the rules, and we talked about this when this first started. They're now setting the rules for everybody else going forward. And Sony saying all this stuff in public is going to come back to bite them in the ass when they go to buy a publisher, and then they try to act like it's okay for them. Well, Microsoft and Xbox, when those regulatory bodies ask Microsoft and Xbox what they think, Microsoft and Xbox can be like, no, it's not fair. You guys need to keep it multiplayer. You can't take those games away from us. They can do the exact same thing, but they'll have laid out the groundwork of exactly what concessions are going to have to be made. So if Sony has any plans of buying a publisher down the road and then taking some of those IP exclusive that might be multi-plat, well, now they're going to have to follow that same set of rules. This is a problem, and that's why I really think Microsoft and Xbox baited them into this. They're painting themselves into a tighter and tighter corner, and you can see that they're lashing out. They're a caged animal right now. They know that they can't get out of the way of what's happening. They know the future right now.
They seem desperate.
Set. Yes, it's desperation. They're set to a certain degree, and they understand that all this last generation that they wasted, that they sat on top, they sat on the throne and said, nothing's going to change. The world is ours. We've got control. We make the rules here. They thought that was never going to go away because they didn't think Microsoft was going to back Xbox. And now that that's happened, now it's all coming home to roost at this point. And Sony cannot do what they need to do to turn that ship on a dime the way Microsoft and Xbox did. And they know it. And they're in a tough spot right now where, yes, they can hang on. They're cashing in goodwill and popularity checks. They're cashing those in left and right by raising the prices, by charging extra money for games, all this stuff. They're cashing in all of that. They earned it, they gobbled it up, and they kept it, and they hoarded it. Now they're cashing in all that, and eventually it's going to run out. Yep. Yeah, exactly.
I saw an interesting theory, like maybe why Jim Ryan was like really focusing on the Call of Duty thing was he wants the government bodies to like force Microsoft into like a 10-year contract instead of having that 3-1, so they can get that deal for cheaper and they won't have to renegotiate every 3 years, so they can get an extended contract without having to fight for it.
It's all about the concessions and what they want at the end of the day, right? And this is why they're posturing, and this is why they're trying to create this whole dramatic scene. And to some extent, it's working because you even see journalists for like major networks actually ask questions about this kind of stuff, which is, I was DMing with Pong like last night of like, it's just this whole thing about Call of Duty being what kills potentially a $70 billion deal for an acquisition of a company that has so many employees and so many different IPs and so many different things is just the most asinine and ludicrous, ridiculous thing I could ever thought of. It's like watching something that you know is just like stupid as hell, but it's still portraying out in front of you. Like, how is this actually reality, right? This is a reality we're watching where we're seeing like regulatory bodies sitting there talking about fucking Call of Duty. Like, oh my God, we have to make sure the PlayStation gamers get to keep Call of Duty because that would destroy gaming forever if they didn't have Call of Duty. Oh my fucking God. Hell, it's going to be horrible, right? Like, there's not any sense of reality to the situation here, right? There's no world in which that one thing completely destroys a company that is number one in the gaming industry right now, right? They are 2-1 in sales over the last generation in the market where that's being utilized as the number one tool to hurt this deal, right? But because they're trying to create this image of the consumer and a gaming franchise being so important to them, they're their consumers. They're trying to use that as a weapon. And I've never seen a regulatory body like actually be like, well, we care so much because we know those people love Call of Duty. That's going to shut this
Sony
deal
has
down.
Very
it's
little
just weird.
To lose and a lot to gain by shutting down Microsoft out of that deal.
Oh, for sure. I don't blame Sony for trying it. I'm just looking at the asinine fact that the regulators and actually big journalists for gaming media, or not even gaming media, actual market media as well is actually looking at this and being like, oh, there's actually something to this whole Call of Duty thing. I mean, it's like, are you like really?
Like I said, the DMs though, Mav, right? I think it's freaking fantastic. They're all focused on this one diamond.
Yeah, well, 100%.
While Microsoft and Xbox have this whole chest of diamonds that they're carrying off with this deal. They're already willing to share the one diamond. They've said it publicly. They're willing to share it. They're willing to give concessions. That's all everybody's going to focus on. Meanwhile, they take the rest of the hoard that nobody's paying attention to. That's fine by Microsoft and Xbox. I think it's fantastic.
And the other thing is, you're right, 100%. That's we talked about this before. It's like a chess piece, and Microsoft's been setting that up for a checkmate. That's the easiest thing for them to concede to. It's just still so crazy to see the arguing of regulators that are looking at a huge $70 billion acquisition, talking about one game franchise and what that means to the to competition in the industry. It is absolutely ridiculous in the first place. I agree. Microsoft's going to put Call of Duty on PlayStation for a long time because it makes the most business sense, and they're easily going to concede to that. It doesn't matter, but it shouldn't even be part of the conversation. They don't even have to. They don't have to. Really, they don't.
All this is showing is that the regulator bodies are dumb as hell, but like Sony's playing the dumb card, but they're actually really smart about the way they're going.
Yes, exactly, 100%. Oh, we know they know nothing about the industry, so we're going to portray this like it's the industry's downfall if our company doesn't get to keep that in perpetuity. Like,
but in the off chance that like if there's this crazy scenario where Sony is somehow getting to the regulators, which I don't think will happen, but let's just say that it does, like Sony somehow affects the deal and Microsoft can no longer buy Activision. What do you think that does with the relationship with Activision and Sony if the deal doesn't?
Well, Activision has a lot more to worry about at that point than fucking relationship.
You think so?
Yeah, Activision could be on their way down. They might have to start splitting off pieces, selling off pieces. They might have to rebrand, or they might have to downsize, or they might just collapse. They're a house of cards. You can
Blizzard would break away probably.
Yeah, Kotick is what he is, but he's a businessman at the end of the day. We all know he's a horrible person, but he is not lying when he said that they can't sustain what they've been doing. There's just no way. They would collapse. They would probably lay off a bunch of people or sell off studios. They'd have to. There's no way they could survive.
Yeah.
So they made a pretty good decision by. I mean, I know they were headed down because of the PR and people complaining, like the devs. I didn't know, like, in terms of financials they were doing bad too.
Well, they've forced themselves into putting 20 studios on one game a year, and that's just you can't sustain that every year.
Running it into the ground over and over and over again. It's eventually going to wear out. And like Relzer brings up too. Now they got the unions involved because now they're unionizing over at Activision Blizzard, which is a whole other set of problems.
That's just one portion of them, right?
Yeah, I think the QA team or something like that.
The QA team, but there's going to be more are already talking about it. And if the deal fell through and it went back to the old Activision Blizzard and there was no hope, I think you'd see a lot more groups start unionizing immediately.
Also, you see people probably quitting and looking for other jobs at other studios. And
yeah, I can't wait to see what those studios make. Right, that's my most exciting about this. Honestly, I think you take Call of Duty, you change it to for the main franchise, every 2-3 year type game. And then we already know it's going to be after Modern Warfare 2 is going to be 2 years between the next ones. Right. Yeah. And then after that, we're looking at other studios making other things and that adding more things to gamers. And that's all I care about. Right. Like, what do people get to play out of this deal? Right. And how many people are going to get access to it? The thing about this craziest also is the thought of the people that when Jim Ryan is crying about PlayStation and their gamers not being able to play this game. Guess what? They will be able to play this game, Jim. If you got a PC, they'll be able to play it. If you have a mobile phone, you'll be able to play it. If you have a TV that has an app on it, you'll be able to play it. You'll be able to play it in way more places you've never been able to play it before. Plus, for the most likely scenario, you'll also be able to play it if you have a PlayStation, right?
Well, he knows
And
that. He
he
just
d-
knows
he
that the
does, yeah.
government bodies don't know that. So he's gonna.
Exactly. So the thing is, like, the whole argument about doing damage to their consumers is just complete hypocrisy, when they're the ones damaging their consumers themselves. And I'm just sick of seeing that arrogance. It is what it is. You can't expect much less from them right now with the way they're talking, because they're trying to do this for show. But what I have an issue with is them doing that, and then more news come out that is actually hurting their consumers themselves, right? If you're going to put on this show, at least don't do bullshit to your own fucking players. You know what I mean?
Then in that interview with Phil Spencer on the news, he was very specific with his words, kind of saying like mobile and PC with Call of Duty.
Yeah, browser.
In the future.
He mentioned all that. He was he's got to be. Again, I can't believe Phil does as many interviews as he does, because this is a publicly traded company, one of the richest in the world, and anything he says can affect the stocks, right? So he's got to be careful when he does this stuff. But yeah, he did choose his words as that we want our games, all of our games, to reach more people than ever before, and then he goes on to list all the different avenues, which some people takes as implies, well, we don't necessarily need to keep it on PlayStation forever because we're going to have all these other avenues. But I just don't think that's the case. Again, they've talked about bringing it to Switch. I think that's real. Again, I think the Minecraft comparison that Brad Smith made was legit. I think that was honest. I think that was something that they do look at Call of Duty differently than other games.
Well, for the most part, what they've been saying is what's been happening ever since the Phil Spencer era has taken over. There's exceptions where they said they wanted to do VR, and that we don't have that. That's the one people point to the most, right? However, for the most part, everything that they said, or even that checklist he broke down originally when he talked about how we're going to save Xbox and all these things, has actually happened, right?
Well, there's some stuff that have taken time we haven't gotten from Xbox, but
for sure, the pipeline of content actually hitting.
Or I'm
right?
just talking about like on the Xbox One when it first came out, they always talked about we're going to rework achievements, stuff like that, or like added mouse and keyboard support. Like we're kind of just now like really getting full mouse and keyboard support for Xbox, and it's still not even that great. But like just stuff like that. They've talked about adding to Xbox, but we've just never really got.
Yeah, there's definitely things for improvement for sure, and we criticize Xbox on a lot of these things a lot of times, right? Like generally, like what we're talking about is investment back into the studios, the investment back into the gamers, the winning back the fans, being more community driven again, right? With as much as they've been doing with acquisitions in the industry across the board, this is obviously it's for their bottom line. At the end of the day, they're a business, right? They want to make money. It's not like it's just a gift. It's not like, hey, we're just going to give the gamers everything they've ever wanted, and we're not going to make any money, right? This is a long-term play that they're making here for the future of the cloud and gaming and what this industry is all going to hold. And but the good thing is, like a lot of services out there, guess what? Sometimes what's best for the consumer also, right? And if it co-aligns, like what's best for us is also best for the company, that's a good thing in my opinion. And that's what's been going on for a long time now. I don't know if Sony understands necessarily what is best for their consumers right now, right? And that's been proven by the remakes, the director's cuts, the price increases, all of these different things that they completely get passes on, where you look at that and it's like, okay, we're doing this, and people are just gonna accept it. But we're still the ones doing right by the consumer. We're still the ones that know what the consumers want. It just doesn't add up, like at the end of the day. And I think that's why the market share has been dwindling. I think it's going to keep happening over time, this generation, because what we've said one of our first episodes on this podcast is, guess what? Value is what speaks the most, right?
I mean, it doesn't really matter what the consumers want if they're willing to pay, if they pay for it and you get profit off.
Yeah, but they're not paying for it as much as they did last generation. That's the problem, right? Like that's what I'm saying. Like it worked. It did. It's just not working like it did before. Even if you're still selling the consoles, you're still not selling as much of the hardware. The company itself is 40% down year to date, which if you look at the entire stocks across the industry, there's a lot that is down, but they are among the worst by far. That is down. And you can look at Nintendo is like down like 15%. They're down 40. Microsoft as a whole company with all of their divisions is down 25. There's several different publishers that are actually even up year to date also this past year. And now Sony is obviously more than just a gaming company, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, you also have to look at their TV division, their movie division, their music division, stuff like that. Maybe that's where they're actually losing more majority of their money, not necessarily PlayStation.
But the last financials that came out, their software sales were down significantly. And that has a big impact because PlayStation has been their biggest profit generator. And I just don't foresee that being successful on this trend that they've had for the long haul. And then I think they just got to make some changes for the consumer. And I think Xbox is leading the way with that right now. Nintendo can get away with it, and Nintendo will. PlayStation's not going to keep getting away with this. I really feel like it, and maybe it does take them taking that hit. You know, maybe it is them losing Call of Duty or whatever it is that it makes them step off of that mantle. You know, who knows exactly what it's going to be. But if they were to go out of business because they lost Call of Duty in 7 years, that's like the worst led gaming company on the planet, right? Like, it just doesn't make any damn sense because they had to have plenty of time to prepare for that situation. Right. Yeah.
It just relying on like someone like a company that does a multi-platform game as your business model.
Yes. You're relying on too much third party. That bit Xbox in the ass before, didn't it? Mm-hmm. Xbox learned that lesson.
Netflix went to originals so they can make their own shit and they don't have to rely on other people.
And that's why Xbox is not funding as many third party games as much as they are acquiring studios now. Right. They have control over their IP.
Yeah, Xbox. I mean, that's the reason why Xbox is acquiring all these studios to have content for Game Pass. They keep mentioning Game Pass, but it's because with Game Pass's model, you have a lot of different studios working on different things, different genres, and having properties like Minecraft or Call of Duty or these huge IPs going straight into Game Pass is just it's very good for them. So Sony, I don't think Sony could ever make a Game Pass type subscription model. They can get close, they can make better deals, and they're already making basically 10 different games that are
10
games
potential
as a service. So they're already starting to compete, at least in certain ways that they're not doing right now, because their focus right now is action adventure.
They're kind of going titles. The Ubisoft route, where let's try to make everything a live service, and as long as one of them hits, we're good.
They need like two of them. But yeah, we talked about this from the beginning, 3-bit, that this Microsoft and Xbox's plan with all these purchases was to insulate themselves from the rest of the industry. No matter what happens, third party wise, they will now have enough studios where they can make whatever game they need. They will have a pipeline so that if they can't get any third-party deals done, if Sony just goes on a buying spree and gobbles up exclusivity across the board, that they'll be able to supply Game Pass with as much content as needed to keep people engaged and to keep people subscribed. That's what they're doing. They're insulating themselves from the rest of the industry, creating a giant moat around themselves. They'll welcome people in. They'll still do deals, all that kind of stuff. But if all that were to shut off, they could just pull up the drawbridges and they would be set. They are set. They don't need to worry about another damn thing. That's the big move that they made here and what they're ultimately going
smart.
for. Yeah,
and they can afford to do it.
Yeah,
not many companies can. So
that's where I think there's a little bit of jealousy out there that Sony from Sony that they couldn't do this same deal, because if they would, there wouldn't be even this conversation. No. You know what I mean?
No, they would have already done a move. They already would have made a move, right? If they could do it, they would have already done it. They would have been laughing all the way.
They got Bungie.
Sony could alter their service to make it more valuable. They could add like their movie division into their PlayStation Plus service, so you can stream all the Sony movies. They could do other stuff like that to add more value to that service. And
that's not what they do, though. They don't add value. They fuck people. That's what they want to do. They want to fuck you. They want to fuck you over and over again, and they want to fuck you twice and fuck you 3 times for the same game. I mean, for the same VR game now. They even have a system within a system to fuck you twice again. Like, they're not even content with fucking you twice in just the consoles. Now they're gonna fuck you twice with the console within the console. So they get to fuck you twice, that times 2, so that's 4 times fucked. That's like 2 times, that's fucking twice squared. I mean, like, I mean, it's just, it's so
I was never
crazy.
told there was going to be fucking math here, okay?
There's a lot of fucking.
So instead of AAA or quadruple A, it's triple X and quadruple X is what we're saying.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it should be called the PS4 squared. I don't know. Like, it's just so frustrating when you see the messaging. You know what I mean? Oh, because we're making it superior and we don't want to be held back by last generation technology. I wonder if these when will we see these PS4 VR games hit PSVR 2 and be sold again? Right? That's the thing.
Is it worth putting in the dev time to update them for the PlayStation VR 2, considering that it's a small user base to begin with?
Some of them, yes. That's why they did it. That's why they did it. Some of those games that are really popular, yes, they will put the time and effort in and resell them again for sure. Yeah. Because you're going to have, like you said, it's such a niche that a big portion of the initial buyers for the VR2 is going to be the original VR owners, right? So they will rebuy those games again, of course. That's what this is set up to do in the long run, because they're going to need content, and they can probably spit those out pretty quick.
Do you think they'll offer like dev support at least, where the devs you dev the tools to like upgrade it from the original, or you think they're like, no,
this is going to be,
because it's possible, dude. No, it's not like, I don't care what anybody
I've already
says.
got the plan for PlayStation VR 2. It's going to be exactly like the Virtual Boy. It's going to come out, you're going to get 30 games, and they're going to end support for it because they're hurting so bad they got to cut money somewhere. So you're going to get 30 PlayStation VR 2 games, and then they're going to end support.
Oh my god, don't say that. That'll be
just in time for the PS6.
What is your expectation now? Like, say the next generation PlayStation comes out, like that's setting precedent again. You know what I mean? We're in the day and age now where that should be a bygone. Compatibility shouldn't just be about the promise of being able to play what you've owned before. It should be about the promise of knowing what you buy now you're going to be able to play in the future, right? We're in the digital age. Like 80% of their products are being bought digital. When you buy a new product, you should expect that shit goes along with you and should be improved. That's the way it is in almost every category except for gaming. And like, that's what the future is, right? And you know, the cloud's going to make a lot of this easier, but that's the benefit of digital distribution, where hardware in the past has not only been dependent on what kind of format it's on or what kind of input it's on, like either a cartridge or a CD or a Blu-ray, right? The physical hardware in itself is only limited by the power that it can produce and the potential that it has as a hardware device, right? There's work you can do with software to make that shit work on future hardware. And that's what Xbox has been doing, like all over the place. Like,
but that's a problem because PlayStation VR games are Bethesda games, so it's kind of funny.
Yeah, that's true too. That's the problem with early adoption of new technology, right? And we're still in the infancy of VR, right? And so I think that's a lot of it. I still believe, you know,
they could have made it work.
They could have made it work some way, especially since they are compatible on the PS5. If you have the old VR headset, you can use it. So now all they did was force everybody to keep the VR headset, and now everybody's got to have 2 headsets to play the old games and then play the new games.
Yeah.
So whatever.
It's literally, they made the decision to disable it. Like there's no crazy technical thing that prevents them from doing, like, oh, because of the hardware in the PS4, it made it impossible to do on the PS5. They disable it.
We'll see that SSD is so fast that it would load the games too fast. It would cause motion sickness.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Okay. No, it's ridiculous. Like you have a PS4 controller that works on PCs and everything, and it doesn't work on the PS5. You have PS5 controllers work on PCs, and it you know, it comes down to money at the end of the day. They want them to rebuy controllers. They want them to rebuy their VR headsets. And I do eventually I'm in the camp where I'm just sort of sick of that anti-consumerism. But you, like Pong was saying earlier, you have those die-hard Sony fans that are gonna buy it regardlessly. But then I do believe there is enough of the casual audience that looks at value proposition, like when they go into a store. I think people use the analogy of like the grandma or the mom walks into a store and they look for a a product for their sons and stuff like that. I do believe value will eventually overturn a big company like Sony, and I know they know it. It feels
it's hurt them in the TV market already, right? They were priced higher than everybody else, and that's hurting them in the TV market. Like Samsung and LG, took a huge market share there, where Sony used to be like the king. You know what I mean? And now there's like, oh, they're like the little bit premium, but guess what? They're not selling as much.
They also raised the price by like 5,000 yen in Japan, and Xbox is giving a 5,000 yen gift card if you buy an Xbox. So you get money. You get money. Fucking buying an Xbox.
It's so like a lot of their moves seem very desperate, and at least their recent comments with Call of Duty. They're a business at the end of the day. I mean, both of them are business. Microsoft and Sony are businesses. One just feels very anti-consumer is compared to the other. Like Xbox is giving you the better value, like bar none, with Game Pass and its future of gaming. There's no argument like, oh, maybe like Sony is doing this and it's fine. I don't see an argument where you can see Sony in a positive light with your own value as a customer. Like I know value is subjective in a lot of ways, and a lot of people are running with that and using it as an excuse. I don't see it that way. I see them charging more and more for games, and I'm looking at the other service that's offering the same, if not better, and for cheaper. So
yeah, I'm just
wondering when people will see that.
I'm just wondering when we're gonna see the PlayStation Lube hit the market.
Will it lose the market? It didn't come with your PS5?
Said PlayStation Lube.
Yeah,
it was at the bottom of the box.
And it's gonna start coming with your games.
Something's gonna start coming with those games.
You're not blowing on the controller right.
Yeah, PSVR 2 now with Lube.
My God, have we turned into the opposite of the Sony fan podcast that just talk about Xbox all day?
Pretty much right now. we reserve this. This isn't every show, right?
For the 100 people in here, like we barely have an episode where we talk about Sony. This is just like this news is so prevalent in our industry right now, and we kind of have to talk about it,
and it does involve Xbox, obviously, especially with the comments.
Xbox. Yeah, so
it's the acquisition.
It's the talking out of both sides of their mouth thing, right? Yeah. Like that's like, and Xbox is benefiting to like, as much as they keep doing this right now. Guess who's actually benefiting from it? It's actually Xbox, because while they're doing all this crazy shit, Xbox is getting market share. And it just is what it is, right? The chat's been absolutely fucking killing me right now. Yeah, it sure sounds like a bunch of Xbox shitting on PlayStation. Hey, I got a PS5 right over here. I love PlayStation games. I gave the State of Play a 9 the other day when I watched it, and I got accused of being too.
Yeah, we were ponies on that.
I was a pony on that stream the other day when I gave PlayStation a 9 for their State of Play, because I didn't rate Xbox's E3 show or non-E3 show as high, right? I'm just saying, when you get fucked, sometimes you got to say, no, I don't like that, and maybe you should too, right? Because it's affecting you as a consumer, right? And Xbox is benefiting from that right now.
Literally that South Park video I posted, like when they raised the price cuts.
Yeah.
It was like, can we at least pull over and get some dinner? Because I like to be wine and dine before I get fucked.
Yeah. It's it's just interesting, to see like, and here's the thing. What were we doing with last week and the week before that we got criticized for? Oh, we were criticizing 343, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we were letting 343 have it, and talking about Halo and all this stuff, right? Oh, people don't like that. You know what I mean? Now, overly, we're usually really positive on the show, and like I've actually been criticized a lot for being too optimistic and too positive about things with games at times.
You like Madden. I don't know how that's a thing.
Yeah, I defend things a lot and all this stuff, but when it comes to my wallet and what companies are doing to take advantage of you and me, like that's where the consumers got to stand up and start speaking up for themselves instead of taking that back seat and just letting them just do whatever the fuck they want. You know what I mean? Like if this was opposite, I would be saying the same shit, right? But it's not.
But that
It's
rarely
not.
works though. Like no matter it takes a lot of people to actually stand up and say something before a company will even do anything.
No, 100%. It's
I
and
mean,
it usually
Apple's
takes
been
money.
getting away with that for ever since they
Yeah.
existed.
and it takes money. It takes a hit, right? But it's just the truth. I mean, like whether it's a game that's crappy like Crossfire X, right, or if it's a
I mean, it's all right.
content issue like Halo Infinite's had, or whether it's anti-consumerism like Sony's doing right now, which is benefiting Xbox while they're crying about Xbox in this acquisition, is it's worthy of a conversation. And like I said when we started this conversation, we don't talk about PlayStation too much here, but when they keep bringing Xbox into their mouths publicly, that's not the only thing they're putting in their mouths, right?
Keep Phil out of your mouth.
So anyways, but we need to move on. And we're going to get into some more conversation here about Xbox and lots of the awesome stuff going on that has happened over the last week. And shout out to Chris Jones, who actually hit us with a $10 super chat earlier. He said, you bet your sweet ass I'm ecstatic. Without Suikoden helping me find my love for gaming, I would have never met any of you, Heart 100. Hey, yeah, he's talking about Suikoden and being announced as both Suikoden 1 and 2. I think HD is coming to Xbox, that's his number one game, right, of all time. In fact, he's been touting Eiyuden Chronicles 100 Heroes and Eiyuden Chronicles Rising ever since they were announced as coming to Xbox and Game Pass, and ultimate fan there. So absolutely amazing to see that for you, Chris. And 100%, man. I'm glad we got to meet you as well, sir. And also, he rejoined the Speculators, so appreciate you, Chris Jones, for hitting up that membership for the channel. Rel also hit us with a $2 super chat. He says, people not buying $70 games, waiting on a sale. It's happening more, right? Something with the $70 price tag is not really clicking with people, right? And we said this from the start. Money may affect things. However, it doesn't seem like it's affecting too much because Ubisoft is on the $70 train now, as much as it will be down the line. But at some point, if it keeps affecting the sales, then you may see some stuff change with that. Who knows? 100%. Also, we got a $2 super sticker from Killinitis. Shout out to Killinitis. Appreciate you as well. All right. So, oh my God.
K-Med wants you to slide in his DMs, Matt, by the way.
Slide in your DMs? Did you DM me?
No, I said K-Med wants you to slide in his DMs.
Well,
he's been hitting on you in the chat.
Yeah,
well, hold on.
He's turned on by you.
Yeah. Kaitlin and him are going at it right now.
They're setting up that whole situation for you there.
Oh, you guys are great. Hey, you know what? I'm taking.
I'm taking.
I appreciate you guys for real though. Hey, we got more to talk about. Speaking of things, we've had a big week for Xbox in Japan this past week. Phil's there himself, and he's wheeling and dealing. He even did an interview actually with was it NBC? I think CNBC.
CNBC.
Yeah. And we got some information from that last night. One thing that relevant is he also reiterated the fact that they have no plans of any price increase currently, regardless of the state of the world and what's been going on with cost across the board. They said it wouldn't be right to their consumers in the time of economic struggle for them to raise the price and pass on that cost. So that was something in that interview. But also, one of the most interesting things in this interview, which is why this thumbnail reads this way, that made you potentially click on this podcast. He said that he was actually specifically asked the question: are they going to press pause with the Activision Blizzard deal on acquisitions? And Phil said, no, we can't. We can't press pause on that. He was asked.
That was surprising to hear.
Yeah. I mean, he came out pretty much bluntly, and it's almost like he's working on stuff while he's there right now, trying to get stuff done. Right. I mean,
well, that was the other part of his quote, right,
Right.
Matt? Because then he talked about being over at TGS and being, great to be back there in person, getting to meet all the devs, get to see everybody, walk the show floor. And he's like, and we get to, talk to our partners, that we already have. And he goes, and if, those talks turn into possibility of acquisition, I forget the exact terminology he used, but kind of like the beginnings of like, just kind of informal talks about that, then that's another benefit of being there in person as well.
Yeah.
So again, the East is where they're hitting next, almost guaranteed, outside of the small studios that we talk about.
Yeah, for sure. I think that we're going to see some more moves. And what we saw this past week was some fruits of the labor of the past dealings they've been making that they've alluded to several times of Phil being in Japan, meeting all these people, and they're working with all these different developers and all these things. And guess what? We're seeing companies and franchises that skipped an entire generation on Xbox come back to the platform, right? I know that they're not the newest games right now, and people have been pointing that out. But them coming to this ecosystem right now gives the possibility of those games potentially coming in the future. And if anything is to be looked at as a potential like example of what we mean, all you got to do is look at it. Yakuza, franchises like that started putting their games all of a sudden on Xbox, and now all of a sudden, hey, all the new games come to Xbox, right? So there's a precedent here in which you can be excited if you are into Japanese style games about what they're doing in Japan. And we got several announcements, but obviously they got a lot of work to do because Square is still not part of the plans, I guess. I don't know what the hell's happening with Square. I think
but Phil mentioned them as great partners.
Yeah,
So.
he did. I guess. But we got some interesting things from
Power Wash Simulator.
Yeah, from Arc System Works. Was it 2 games that had skipped Xbox before are making their way to Game Pass as well. So with Game Pass getting those games, it makes you think potentially we could get those in the future. But I want to ask this question: like, what is the most? Because if Phil says, "Hey, they're definitely still in the market for this," like, what is the likelihood of targets? You think?
It's difficult because I don't know. Do they take the easy route and buy up smaller studios that are easy to acquire, or do they just go straight in and try to get a big studio? That I'm like, it depends on how really invested I think they are into this, and it seems like they are. So I want to say a big studio, but at the same time, like, it's so much easier to just get smaller people and just gobble up like 10 small people to make equal a big studio. So I just don't know where they jump in.
Yeah.
Their worldwide plans dictate that they have to go publisher. Their worldwide plans need an arm over there in the East. They really do. They need an Xbox East to really do what they're looking to do. So again, I think as confident as Phil is, every time somebody asks him this question about acquisitions, as many times as he's now said, we've got areas of the world that we still need to do work in and that we want to get into. I think they go big. I that's why, Sega's the obvious one, but you got your Bandai Namco's, which would be a little bit more complicated. And like Jasper said, it's not going to be easy. It's more difficult, but I think that if they're serious, which they are, they got to go big. So I think they definitely are going publisher over there.
Yeah. What would be the number one publisher that you think?
Well, I mean, if you just had your wish list,
well,
Capcom.
What would be the what would be the most likely though? You think?
I just like
Sega.
I said before, like I think Nexon makes more sense.
I agree.
Just due to the fact that you get mobile, you get Korean, Japanese,
yes,
you get AAA games, you get smaller studios, you just get so much with that that publisher that it's like almost like too good to be true. I think for them.
And I agree, Jasper. Nexon would be my dark horse. Like if we were doing horse racing, for sure. I think Nexon would be. It would be a great one. And I, when you brought it up, I hadn't even thought about it because I had been saying that they need to get into Korea, right? But now that Nexon's moved to Japan and they've got both worlds, that would be a perfect buy. I agree. But I think Sega's the easiest one. I think Sega's their business dealings, how they operate is so westernized in a lot of ways now, and they've worked so closely with Xbox. It would be almost a ZeniMax style transition period that they just let Sega become Xbox East, and they already trust everybody there, and it's just an easy absorption of that company.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense because they would be like a big publisher for that region, and they could just handle all that stuff. So that would make sense, but. And maybe it's
but I like your
just...
Nexon. I like your Nexon.
I think Sega does make sense too, because like it's easier to start out with at least a small publisher firm, and then you can kind of spread out from there once you actually get that your foot on the ground there. So that does make sense to get just like a major publisher just off the rip.
Right. I'm gonna play this clip here real quick, guys. This is Pong. You had shared this with us last night.
Is Fuzzy sleeping?
No, I'm.
Oh, okay. All right.
He just doesn't interrupt.
Fuzz.
Like we
You're
do.
part of the family. Interrupt. Get in here.
He likes to be called on.
Like I like the idea, and I know you guys have floated this before, like with the whole Xbox East, as far as with Sega, just rebrand the Series S and Series X as the latest Dreamcast or something along those lines.
Xcast. Oh wait, no, there's a podcast that's called.
But yeah, I think that's probably the easiest or most logical step. But Nexon definitely makes sense, but I kind of like the whole Capcom thing because there's history there as well. There was a bid to buy them in the past as well. And you can at least revisit a lot of the IPs. Well, not revisit, but you have Street Fighter as another fighter within your stable of IPs.
Dead Rising.
Yeah, Dead Rising they can revisit, do basically a reboot. You have, State of Decay could be your more serious zombie type game, and Dead Rising could be more of your fun shooter type of like Dead Island type of game in comparison. So, I mean, Capcom and Sega are probably the two big ones that definitely keep an eye out for. Bandai Namco is another good one. Just because of the variety of titles that they have, plus they have fighters in their catalog as well. But man,
I think like going with I think Bandai Namco could be a problem because Bandai Namco has a lot of exclusive deals with Sony, and they would honor those. So like it would be like a Bethesda situation or Activision situation that we're facing now, where we have to wait that 3-year period or whatever for those deals to get done, and it just
And they're one of the world's largest toy makers as well, and they haven't like Sega divested themselves of all the pachinko machines and stuff. So that's what makes Sega now easy because Sammy and Sega are now separate. But Bandai Namco's got pachinko machines. They got toy making. They've got a bunch of. That's why I said it'd be a lot more complicated for that partnership at all.
Yeah, I think they'll just be looking for. I mean, so far they've acquired Bethesda and trying to acquire Activision when they were sort of on a down spiral of either PR or financials. Like Bethesda had to start changing some of their games to fit more of a model that doesn't really benefit them. Their model as a company has always been these expansive worlds, these sort of single player games, and what was at least happened with Wolfenstein was they had to start to advance a model that like let's shell out this DLC to get some money, and that's why I think Microsoft was like a perfect fit for a company like Bethesda. Activision, I mean, we seen what was happening with them. They the PR with the dev teams basically being sexually harassed and things like that was putting the company in a position to be purchased kind of. So I would start to look for a company that is on a sort of
I will say they did have talks with Konami before.
They have? Okay.
Yeah, like they were originally in talks with Konami, but apparently it went like public or something, so they had to like back out of the deal because they couldn't like do it because it would be like insider trading for like the public or whatever if they went and bought it. So they've had talks with Konami before, but
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd
and
be interesting.
Konami would be an interesting move. I'm gonna play this clip now, guys, and we're actually going to get to a couple super chats real quick first. Also, hey, Topaz Girl hit us up, member for 5 months. Appreciate you. She said next acquisition Capcom. It would be dream come true for Game Pass for me. It'd be amazing. Alvin with a $5 super chat says Guilty Gear, Street Fighter, and Blaze Blue all coming back to Xbox after Sony bought Evo is huge. This is a message these companies want Xbox around. I agree with that as well. And a $5 super chat from Topaz Girl as well. Thank you again. She says, I hope they pick up a few Korean studios while there. From what I've seen recently, Korean studios rock. Yeah, Korean studios are on the up and coming. They have some of the most.
We've been pounding that table for how long, Mav? Since last year.
Most insane tech coming from there, like this engine tech, all this
people
stuff.
People that make PUBG, they were close with those. So
yeah. I'm gonna play this clip here now. And we'll
content. There's no avoiding what every gamer has been talking about, I suppose, over the last couple of weeks, and that is this ongoing stoush with Sony when it does come to regulation. I've got to ask you, if you ask Sony, if you hear from Sony, obviously we know what Jim Ryan is suggesting, that the 3 years isn't enough in terms of providing for Call of Duty, and it's something that the regulators are now obviously going to be looking at. Can you not just provide that clarity and just say, hey, we'll make it available in perpetuity?
That was the most dumb question I've ever heard before, by the way, which echoes some of what we've heard from the community and stuff. Like, can they not just say, hey, we'll bring Call of Duty there forever? Like a contract is written that way between game. It's just asinine. Anyway, however, I'll let this continue.
Yeah, I can't talk a ton about where we are in regulatory just because of the mechanism that is. You know, I've said out there publicly to our fans and our customers, which is where our strongest commitment is, that our expectation is that we'll continue to ship Call of Duty on PlayStation and other places where people see, and hopefully expand the number of places that people are playing all of our games. That's been our goal. We put the player at the center, and through technologies like cloud, through shipping day and date on PC, our expectation is the games that we're building will be played by more players going forward. And that's our goal with all the games that we're building today.
But can you understand as well, if you're in Sony's shoes and then you see that the strength that Game Pass has right now, the ability that you guys have been having, and I'm a Game Pass user myself, so it's an incredibly good service. But if you were to say, for example, put Call of Duty for free on Game Pass, and then Sony users still have to pay for Call of Duty, that could create problems as well?
You know, when I look at something like Game Pass specifically, I think it's the output of competition in our market. We sat back as Microsoft and Xbox and we thought, how can we innovate and create value, as you're talking about as a Game Pass subscriber? Thank you. How can we provide value to players? And we came up with a new model for customers building out their library of games, and gamers love it. I think that's what competition is about. Competition is about driving competitors to innovate, driving competitors to do new things like cloud, like subscriptions, like building new intellectual property. And I think everything that we've been focused on is how do we compete effectively and how do we deliver more value to our customers?
So they're talking about how can they compete effectively as well, right? So it's like one thing I'm looking for another clip as well, but Pong, you guys something to say?
No, I was just gonna say it's just amazing how all the journalists are so worried about Sony,
about Call of Duty.
They're this little company who just is gonna just fold up shop because big bad Microsoft from third place is squashing them. It's insane, man. It's so funny how these people that are, again, this is a business show, so they're on the business side of things, but how they are so ignorant or feign ignorance to the fact of what Sony, how they do business.
A lot of journalists are, Pong.
Yeah. And yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you read articles on what's going on with Call of Duty, it's always sort of favoring Sony in some light, where it like just from the headline, like wow, Microsoft or Sony fights back, stuff like that, you know, and it is how it is, I guess. Being Sony, not only being the industry leader, um, it also comes with a huge bias within the industry as a whole. Whether it's in gaming award shows or it extends outside of um like like just medium in general. So I don't know. I think in this interview in particular, I don't see it as like a lot of people is like saying like the interview is an idiot, whatever. I think it's just geared towards a different audience who probably doesn't know much about the industry. Like we know a lot. We're in the trenches. We're looking at articles all the time. We're on talk shows talking to each other about it, and we're educating ourselves, and we know things ahead of journalism a lot of the times. And then I feel like a lot of journalists are surprised, like, whoa, I didn't see this coming. But it's like if you are paying attention to what's happening in the industry, where it's moving, Microsoft is innovating in a lot of different ways that they're seeing the future. And then I feel like a lot of people are still sort of in the past of where where games are.
Sure.
Like the older business models.
Yeah.
And they're not really seeing what the bigger picture is here. And it shows through their ignorance and their questions.
Yeah.
So
100%.
It's also harder for people to adopt change rather quickly. Like if there's a major change, it's harder for people to kind of jump on board with that. So
yeah, and it's a big change. So
another thing is you still have that cloud of Microsoft from the 90s and 2000s that people always see them as the big bad guy that's bullying the other companies, even though they're the the small guy on campus in this particular realm as far as gaming is concerned, as far as output and numbers and so forth. But overall size of the parent company, sure, they're the big dogs, but in gaming they're still a small fish. But the 90s 2000s, when Bill Gates was yelling at people and about ready to throw people out windows type of deal, or Obama was yelling at people about stuff to get what they needed done, it still carries over to this day.
So I have more clip here, and I want to play this. This is it's going to get into some of the mergers and stuff, I believe. So let's get into this one.
To be an arms race, everyone's getting incredibly acquisitive at the moment. So aside from Activision and potentially what happens there, are you still looking to remain acquisitive because you've got Tencent really starting to get involved in the space now, you've got Sony nibbling at the edges, or is it just about waiting and seeing what happens with Activision and then pressing pause for a little bit in terms of buying up other studios?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, you nailed it. This is such a competitive market. I don't think we get to press pause on anything. Tencent is the largest gaming company on the planet today, and they continue to heavily invest in gaming content and game creators. Sony is a larger business than we are in gaming today, and they continue to invest. When you look at the investments that we've made, it's a highly, highly competitive market.
If you guys don't notice, Phil is taking shots of talking points that the regulators also would need to hear as well, because it's a very competitive market. There's so many different players. Tencent's highly invested. Sony's number one. All of this kind of stuff.
We strive to be a major player here. We want to deliver great content for our players, and we're going to remain active. Like I said, whether that's investing in our internal teams that are already building great games that people know and love, whether it's building new partnerships. I mean, one of the things I love about coming here to Tokyo is the developers I get to meet with, the new partnerships we have with people like Kojima Productions, and going to talk to our existing publishing partners and independent creators about games that we want to build. And if it turns into acquisitive M&A work, we're active there too. So the work for us never ends. It's a competitive market, and I want to make sure Xbox is at the forefront of innovation and competition.
All right. So, hey guys. All right. So I'm going to get into this, right? Where you guys were talking about, they're talking about new partnerships. They're talking a lot about this stuff, right? And establishing relationships and bringing out content. And here's one theory. And I agree, Pong. I do think they need to strengthen the publishing arm there as well. But they also did announce back in April that they are already hiring for their publishing in Japan, and they're already trying to build that within. I would imagine since April to now, they've actually done some of that, and they're trying to establish the Xbox publishing arm in Japan as a stronger entity within itself. So I feel like that's for a reason, right? Not only for third-party deals, like we've seen maybe with like Wolong and things like this, where they're doing deals and helping their presence in the area, but I believe it's because they're ready to acquire some studios in Japan and these other Asian territories that they need a better infrastructure there to manage, right? So if they do have that in place, it feels they're making wheeling dealing right now. I mentioned it a little while ago, 2 games that are coming to Game Pass, which is Blaze Blue Cross Battle, and also Guilty Gear Strive, which both skipped Xbox last generation. Okay. There also was rumors, and not necessarily a rumor, but theories from some other big creators out there. I believe it's Maximilian who put this out there into the public before, about the theory that Killer Instinct could potentially be being developed by Arc System Works, right? So if you put something like that, and then there was a lot, if you watch his video back then about this, it was about, he checks a lot of boxes into this theory, right? That makes a lot of sense. There was a lot of talk about nobody knows what they're working on right now. It's in dead silence. It's rumored that Xbox had made a partner to be making Killer Instinct. And then you add the ammunition now of 2 Arc System Works games hitting Game Pass. Third thing, they are a private company. I was DMing Pong, asking about this last night. Are they a subsidiary of anybody? If you are trying to make a deal and make an acquisition in a territory like Japan, it may be easier to do something like that if you're dealing directly with the independent company. And before Activision Blizzard, what was the status quo for Xbox? It was buying private companies. They were targeting private companies, and that was kind of their MO. Activision Blizzard was like, whoa, nobody saw that coming, right? But even ZeniMax Bethesda was a private company, right? So when I'm looking at potential here, it fills a need, right? Xbox has a need. They need a fighting game studio, right? They need a studio that has a lot of that Japanese flavor with a lot of the games they develop. Also, Arc System Works does publish games as well. They have a publishing arm. It's not a huge studio, but that would be something I could see them potentially trying to target as a good fit. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. Regardless, the end result right now is we're getting games like those in Game Pass, so it's a win-win either for me right now. But I'm looking at that and I'm like, that would make a lot of sense, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it also kind of goes, they do a lot of stuff with it, like multiple anime IPs. So you get a lot of fandoms coming into their game just because of that. So you can attract a larger audience if you mash a bunch of IPs together in one big game like that. So maybe they don't necessarily make Killer Instinct, but they start adding Microsoft characters into Cross Team or Blaze Blue Cross Team or whatever.
Right. Yeah, they could do a lot of different things.
To do their own Smash Bros. And if they put Arc under their umbrella, that would be great. I mean, we don't know what they're working on, so maybe, do you guys think it could be a Microsoft game like that, or I don't know.
Who knows, man? Like, it could be. It's a studio that's been around for a long time. They make really high quality fighting games, right? The Guilty Gear games and Blaze Blue. I was very disappointed when I saw that those games were avoiding Xbox last generation. So I just, there's so many of these big publishers like Sega and Namco, Bandai Namco, and Capcom. And as much as I want to say like, they're going to be able to get one of those, I think potentially the most likely scenario out of that could be Sega, just because of their relationship is so damn strong and they keep strengthening it even more. If you're talking about big publisher, besides that, I would look at, okay, what's the most likely scenario? And I'm thinking the independent studios, right? It could be something they would target because it would be an easier acquisition. It also wouldn't face any kind of scrutiny or anything like that as well, right?
That's kind of what I brought up at the beginning of this thing. I was like, do they go for small or do they go for big or whatever? But
I think they go for smaller now, potentially, to help strengthen. And then once the Activision Blizzard deal gets closed, maybe it opens up more opportunities, especially as that publishing arm and they get more entrenched in the area, right? And Xbox continues to be more successful there, which we know it is, right? And these games coming to Game Pass and coming to the ecosystem is going to be really big for a lot of the Japanese gamers there, because guess what? You don't even need to own an Xbox, if it's in Game Pass, right? There's fans of all these franchises that have these mobile devices and stuff that may just consider, subscribing to Game Pass to be able to get one of those games on and play it mobile, right? Which is a huge thing over in that territory. Fuzzy, what would you think Arc System Works would be a decent fit?
Yeah, I think after Maximilian's, kind of not really conspiracy theory, but his theory on what could be happening as far as like Killer Instinct and things like that. That would be an awesome fit. I mean, personally, I would like to see more of a reach for Capcom in the grand scheme of things. But once again, Street Fighter would be something that more than likely Microsoft would want to keep as a multi-plat. But with Arc, I think they're the ones that are behind like the Guilty Gear series. So that I think in all essence would probably be a nice from a mechanical standpoint, a nice fighting game. It is going to be a different style than what we've seen on Killer Instinct in the past, but I think as long as you can get the mechanics down in there, I'm pretty sure they're pretty good with netcode as well. I think that would be a win-win. It's just it comes down to the character style, if it's going to be more along the lines of what we saw with Killer Instinct previous, or would it be more of like a reboot with kind of a more of a drawn aesthetic as opposed to like a 3D rendered character, like more lifelike or something to that effect. But yeah, I hopefully fingers crossed, because I think the whole deal was he was saying that originally it went to Bandai Namco. Bandai Namco would be the ones that would usually lean on Arc Systems, and I fingers crossed that they are working on something Killer Instinct related, and that's like that trial before acquisition, for organic growth.
Yeah. And they do have like a small publishing branch that it does publish games as well. So it's I don't know. I think it would be a good start, right? They do have Tango Gameworks there right now as like their lone Japanese studio, I believe, which was part of the Bethesda ZeniMax acquisition, and I believe that was a private company before as well, right? So this would just make a lot of sense to me. But who knows? It could be a lot of different things.
I kind of wonder if they need to focus on more like mobile experiences over there first, just to grow the Xbox brand like ingrained in people, and then start spreading out to larger stuff like console games. Like maybe they should even start smaller than what we're even thinking now. Just like focus on mobile right now over there.
Yeah, they got King. Oh, we're about to have King. That's the king of mobile.
Yeah.
But that's why a big publisher makes so much more sense up front, because once you get that, then that becomes another umbrella, and you can have Sega make acquisitions over on that side of the world, right? Smaller acquisitions and bring them into the fold. That's why it just makes so much sense.
You have the brand recognition with Sega there too. You could keep the name.
Exactly. You got all the friendships, you got all the business relationships already pre-built in that you don't have to build up. And I agree, Matt. I think that they started that team over there to make sure that they have a presence now on the ground in that area, no matter what happens, whether they got to go small or whether, if they can't go big right away, if they start small, then you got to have that presence over there. You got to start, being there 365 days out of the year, not just Phil and Sarah flying over there, right? That's ultra important. So I think that's a big part of it. But if they could nab a bigger publisher, then it's just becomes so easy to pick up the smaller, devs that you want underneath that umbrella.
It's easier to buy your way in than build it.
That is correct. And again, when you got the money, that's business, man. That's straight up business. So that's all. But no, Arc Systems would be a great addition. That has been, they've obviously published a lot of stuff on PlayStation and have skipped a lot of Xbox, but I love what they do, and they would fill a need. And as, like you said, as a private company, much easier to get that done than it is with the bigger ones. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's just something I would look at. Like, hey, why not?
Was it last Tokyo Game Show? Or was it Sarah Bond said they have like a partnership with like 200 plus whatever people?
250 was the last thing she said. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, like, maybe instead of just going out for Sega, maybe we see like a large acquisition of like 100 indie studios.
Wow. 100 indie studios.
Just like one big shopping spree.
Come and sign up to be acquired, everybody. You know,
do like
everyone takes a line, like, here you go.
They do a 90-minute show where they're just scrolling names of indie devs that they've purchased as Phil's there reading them off. That would be insane.
Man, that sizzle reel would be like a half hour at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think you're. I mean, I made a video about this a long time ago that Microsoft typically goes for private companies to purchase. They're a lot easier to acquire, and you don't have to go through a lot of the regulation that you normally have to do with a public company when you have to worry about shareholders and things like that. It's a lot simpler, so it makes sense. It's a lot faster.
Something like that you could maybe do while the Activision Blizzard deal is still going on, also. Right?
Yeah, I think if they do buy a public company, then I mean, a public company that's sort of on a down spiral makes sense. That needs some financial help, that would benefit from someone like Sony. Microsoft stepping in. Wow. Sony, I feel like Sony will be purchased, not by Microsoft, but I feel like in a couple of years, maybe 4 or 5 years, I think Sony could get purchased for sure.
The only issue with Sony getting acquired is like that if the regulatory political landscape is the same as it is now, that's even a harder acquisition to get through for any of these big tech companies, because it's not just affecting gaming like Activision Blizzard is for Microsoft. You're affecting so many different categories across different industries if you purchase Sony, right? And we already see how they are with Amazon and Apple and Google and the other players that you would think could be potentially involved with Sony, right? So I would think it'd be more likely, if anything, in the future for Sony to potentially merge with somebody or some other kind of situation like that. But who knows exactly what's going to happen? The future cannot be predicted like these regulators think. You don't know what's going to happen. But let's get into more of this. Actually, let's first get the super chat. Up to Victor Alstein for $5 super chat. Appreciate you. I don't think it's favoritism, but more of allowing clarity. Interviewer gave Phil a strong chance to rebut well, and Phil delivered a stronger answer. I agree with that too, regarding the answer about the acquisition and Call of Duty going to come there. Maybe the interviewer is trying to give that typical fanboy talking point and the Sony talking point right there with allowing Phil to respond. Right. I even saw at one point during the clip he had actually put up the quote from Jim Ryan. He called that Phil Spencer out publicly, which I thought was interesting. Right. But Phil's taking the high road here, like he usually does, where he's taking his shots is within the comments that he's making, which you have to be knowing everything that's been going on to really understand what he's doing. But I
would be so petty if I was in Phil's position.
Yeah.
Like,
he can't be, though.
I would,
right? Like,
I know you can't, which is why I'm not.
Yeah.
But like, if I was in Phil's position, I would not be as friendly as, oh yeah, I will honor pre-existing deals. I would throw that contract out of the window, and it would only belong. I would be kind of like Sony.
Would you wipe your ass with it?
You and me both. 3-bit. We would be Thanos up there. We'd just be snapping games away from Sony. It'd just be like,
yep. Like,
nope, you don't have that anymore.
That's mine.
let's get to some more of this.
Say something else, Jim. Say something else.
Yeah, like what? Okay, maybe 3 years. All right. After that 3 years. All right. That game is exclusive. Yeah. I would just say it outright. Like, I would be very petty. I mean, bless Phil, like he's doing his job, but
yeah, he's doing his job, and he's
from under Sony.
Oh my god, that would be crazy. Let's get to more of this Phil interview here.
Phil, let's just jump off on the acquisitions point that you raised, and we're also actively engaged with our users and our viewers. In fact, we got a viewer email.
This is a waste of a time question
Manzo,
coming
and
up, actually.
He or she asks, are there any plans to buy Discord?
We partner with Discord. Brought Discord
Phil laughs for a second.
Platform. We love that.
He was totally off guard with that.
Users can now voice chat with people on Discord. I think that's a unique capability of the Xbox console right now.
Why do they pick that question?
Other consoles. I love.
Did not know it was a waste of time
for many years.
That makes more sense for Microsoft to buy it than Xbox.
And right now, I think the partnership that we're building
Discord
is
approached
the
them with that
foundation of our
$11 billion
relationship.
offer to sell. Or
I've got to ask, because you're at the
maybe it
Tokyo
was
Game
more
Show
than
right now.
11 billion,
Is that the next?
And I guess the contract fell through or whatever.
Yeah, they were in talks before, but it didn't work out, and then they ended up taking investments.
It's just it's just that would just be for the technology on Microsoft's side, not necessarily for Xbox at the end of the day for that.
Well, let's get it. This is where that question was pointless, but let's get into this part.
Big, I suppose, subset for you at the Tokyo Game Show right now.
All right, skipping back.
I've got to ask, because you're at the Tokyo Game Show right now, is that the next big, I suppose, subset for you at Microsoft? Because that's Sony's power base, especially considering the JPRGs and the type of games that they do create. Is that somewhere that Microsoft's looking to perhaps invest?
Yeah, when you think about, on the console space of both Nintendo and Sony, this is obviously their home field here. And it's a reason why, it's been a while with COVID and stuff since we could travel here as a team and work on the partnerships. We had our great showcase last night. I love the fact that we had 18 Asian games in our showcase. That investment in partnerships continues to pay off. But you're absolutely right. When we think about the globe and a place where Xbox has to work extra hard, here in Japan is definitely a market for us where we've got to boots on the ground, meeting with partners, making sure they trust us, they understand our platform vision. And that's what I'm here doing. I'm here with the team. Yes, the show was great, Tokyo Game Show. I love talking with fans and customers and doing our showcase. That's all fantastic. But more than anything, I'm spending time in meeting rooms and in developer kind of meetings with controllers in hand, talking about what developers are building, talking about the vision that they have for their next creation, however that might show up, cloud or whatever they want to do, and make sure at Xbox we're building the best canvas for them in creating the games that they want to go build.
Really quickly, we saw Sony.
He's not there for the Tokyo Game Show.
No.
He's there for the
He's going to maximize his time in Japan, right?
Yeah.
How many times have we seen him take trips there? I think he's excited now that he can be there more freely, right, without a lot of the pandemic stuff interfering as much. But I think he's trying to make moves right now, dude. It's what he sounds like. I'm not trying to say oh my god, holy crap! It's just he's pretty much saying that he's trying to make moves right now in Japan, right? And so we got to take it for what it is. He's there to do business right now. And we're going to see the fruits of that at some point. Who knows 100% what it's going to be. If it'll be an acquisition, it'll be more partnership deals, more Game Pass games coming to the service or what. But we're going to see something. That's for sure.
But Sarah and him took the time to stop by the Atlas.
Yeah, saw that.
Did you see that? The Atlas on the floor, they're set up. And Atlas Japan actually tweeted out a picture saying thank you for Phil and Sarah dropping by. That wouldn't have happened last generation, folks.
Nope.
No. So making moves.
Yep.
That's what they do.
They're making friends. All right.
Atlas was that stubborn studio. Maybe in my head they were stubborn, but I feel like they really were very stubborn in not making games for other consoles. So the fact that's a huge shift in that's credit to Bill and his team to change that relationship around with Atlas, and now those games are coming to Xbox.
Well, it obviously helped because they're underneath Sega, right? But Sega could never strong arm Atlas. They let them do their own thing. That was their agreement. So Atlas had free reign. But now with all the dealings that Microsoft and Sega have been doing, obviously, I think that loosened it all up, and they probably forked over some cash to get those Persona.
Most likely
on Xbox. But yeah, definitely needed to be done, and it just shows that there is a changing of the tide right now. For sure. Yeah. So it's good to see.
And this will have an effect on the industry. Even if it's a small one, it'll have an effect. Let's get to more of this.
The prices of their consoles just recently is Sony upping the prices of their consoles just recently. Is Microsoft categorically able to say that you won't be raising prices on your Series S or X?
And we're always evaluating our business going forward. So I don't think we can ever say on anything that we'll never do something. But when we look at our...
And you also can't say you will always do something. Okay, so...
consoles today, and you talked about it, Series X and Series S, we think value is incredibly important. We love the position of Series S in the market, which is our lower cost console. Over half of our new players that we're finding are coming in through Series S. And I can definitely say we have no plans today to raise price of our consoles. We think in a time when our customers are more economically challenged and uncertain than ever, we don't think it's the right move for us at this point to be raising price on our consoles.
It does appear to
And it's the right time and place for Sony to fuck their customers. It's the right time. It's the right place, baby. Let's
Series
go.
S was, I mean, the more I think about it, and Series S was such a good move when you really think about it.
Oh yeah.
In terms of just having a lower cost version, it's like the Series S is competing with the PS5 in a lot of ways, and it's such a lower cost version. It's a next gen cheap entryway, and I mean, it's really cool. That was just smart on their part to make the Series S, as opposed to having like with the PS5's direction, which is basically having a disc version and discless version. And the discless version, I haven't even seen available. That thing is so rare, even out in the market. I don't even think they manufactured.
Well, yeah, because they
that
get more
much.
profit off the other one.
Exactly. So their money hiding in the course of even their own consoles of like, oh, we'll just offer the more expensive one because we know the other one won't be available. Like they're going down to even that, but Series S is just a good value proposition where it doesn't have a disc, but what it does have is the ability to play games in having ray tracing and some games being 60, pushing performance on certain games to surpass the Xbox One in certain ways.
Cyberpunk, right? Just that update.
Cyberpunk. Yep. And notice how they didn't release Cyberpunk's DLC to Xbox One. I see a lot of people complaining like Xbox One is Xbox One X is more powerful than the Series S, but it doesn't have a lot of those next gen features inside of the Series S. There are some impressive things on the Xbox One X for sure, but
just resolution pretty much. The Series S kicks its ass in almost every category.
Yeah, exactly.
Just capability of resolution would be higher, but even frame rate is usually higher on Series S.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal for the Series S.
And they talked about that holding back generations, but it was just announced today or like the other day, like Resident Evil 4, the remake, is going to be on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Series consoles only. So it's like PlayStation's kind of holding back now with just making it on PlayStation 4. It's like, why is it not only next gen game?
Yeah, that's actually happening more and more. Like, it's weird, you know, the whole conversations and arguments that were used heavily. I remember once, like when they announced the Series S and stuff officially, I was like, wow, that's amazing. You're gonna get so many people that wouldn't have been able to get a next gen console, like get into gaming, and somebody was like, oh, it's gonna hold back a generation. And this
that was
guy,
literally a narrative for a long time.
God,
we were like, this is gonna hold back gaming.
This guy was like on this thread for like 3 days, and he just would not stop commenting on his own comments, like trying to make the case of how PlayStation was the real next generation of gaming, and the Series S was going to hold back the future, and because of SSDs and because of the low amount of RAM or whatever the fuck that he was trying to make reasons for with the Series S. I'm like, geez, and 2 years later now, right? 2 years later now, it has not even been an issue once. And all these games are on PS4 constantly. It just is so crazy. And that was at the time when they kept saying we believe in generations, right? And I was wondering, are they going to bring that up again with the PSVR 1 and 2 conversation? Oh, we believe in the generation of VR as well now. We believe in VR generations. We said that before with consoles. We kind of backtracked on it. We don't really believe in it anymore. But with VR, we do. Because, you know, we just want to charge you again.
It was such a bad decision. I always go back to this because when you are developing a game and you have any intention of releasing that game on a PC, then you can't fully utilize what's in the PS5. The PS5 best feature is its SSD. But like if you're building a game for any other platform, then you can't fully utilize that SSD. So what do? It's like it becomes useless at that point. And that's where you see games having better performance on the Xbox. In the beginning, a lot of
at the same time with that, like PC, the range and hardware is so vast. Like you could argue the PC is actually holding back generations more than anything. Because you got to build shit for like 70, like GTX 760s. It's like there's like 5% of people use that, but they still got to make the game work on that card. You know, it's like
the PC is the lowest common denominator,
and
which
the
is
highest.
so weird to say. Like you're like, oh, the PC is actually the most powerful one, but in actuality, because these devs the most popular card is a really weak card, the 1060. So when you're building out these games, you're like, okay, well, I got to build the minimum specs and have those people with those cards in mind. So that means by default you kind of are downgrading your experience for the PC user base. So if you ever make a game and you are having in mind other platforms, you can't fully utilize what's in the PS5. So by default, I always question the PS5 design by nature, because its whole essence is like its SSD and how it's going to take advantage of games that fully utilize it. And then you have comparison videos that show the Xbox running faster. So I'm like, okay, so what is it? What is its true power for? I don't know, but I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, for sure, man. I was like, so Michael was like, "What's the deal with the VR?" I said, I just told him, he said, what kind of Mickey Mouse bullshit is that? It's
is he in the beginning of the show?
No, he's just asking what about the VR thing. But hey, let's get into a little bit of some of the gaming talk, right? Wong. Who
the hell's
Wong? You're changing my name.
You're gonna
now?
laugh
Jesus.
now. Pong. You mentioned you were playing the Wolong demo. Before,
Pong,
right?
Yeah.
And what Wolong had a Wong,
like
Pong,
Doctor Strange.
Wong, Pong, fuck, Pong. Wolong had a big presence at the Tokyo Game Show the last several days, or last couple days. So you were talking a little bit about it. Is it you think it's going to be a big hit potentially, or?
Yeah, they got time. They still got time. It definitely has its bugs. The demo has bugs itself. So I mean, again, some people aren't even once they get past the tutorial, they're having.
I've seen mixed feelings on it right now.
Yeah. I think like I said, for me, it feels like, because I don't generally like Souls games, right? I think they're great. I think they're fantastic, but I don't put the time to get good. Okay, that's just not me. I'm not going to do that on those Souls games. I liked Elden Ring because it was much more accessible. You had the open world. You could, run away from people if you didn't want to be there. You didn't have to be there. You go discover something else. So I thought that was great. Wolong is right now. I told Steel early when I was playing it, I was like, this doesn't feel really Souls-like. It feels more like Ninja Gaiden. But I know other people have compared it to Neo, but I've never played Neo, so I can't make that comparison. But I think it has the potential. It's got a great world. It's got full custom characters. You can create your own character, which I didn't know that they were going to do. So that's awesome. Obviously, it's got multiplayer, so you're going to be able to hop in with friends. Didn't get to try it out today yet, but it is available on the demo. So I don't know what it's playing like right now. But it gives you different play styles. You pick different classes, how you want to play the game, which come with different spells. You can also use your customization as you earn your points through battling. You can then, if you start out in one class but you rather work on another class or have access to some of those spells, you can actually put ability points into those different areas as well. It's got a real open world, semi-open world feel to it. Lots of branching paths, lots of different places to discover. I like the battling, the play style. I picked a stealth type character, so I was picking people off with my bow from long range. I was trying to sneak up on them and obviously kill them with one shots because you can do that. You can stab them in the back, whatever else. That all feels really good. The spells feel great as well, but the AI right now is, and again, they don't let you pick level of difficulty in the demo, so I don't know if it's set up on like the easy level.
But this one was supposed to be like scaling difficulty too.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, and it does get harder as I went along. Like I said, I started running into some mobs that were really working me.
I wonder if that's why the AI sucks at the beginning of a demo. Maybe because people aren't playing long enough to get that challenge.
Said, like, did any of y'all watch that breakdown they had today on the
No,
stream?
I didn't see it.
Okay,
no.
So at the beginning, I didn't watch the whole thing, but they said that certain characters are like have like numbers above them. It's like level 5.
Yes.
Like it showed like a level 5 tiger, and you're like level 2.
Yes.
So they said that character is automatically going to be harder. So you could just be in like maybe a hard zone at that point. I'm not.
It could
I'm
be.
not sure.
They're starting you. They start you out at level 10 in the demo, so you're already kind of ahead of the curve. But I don't know. I know they have the scaling difficulty, and I get that. But let me just give you one example. Archer on an upper ledge saw me coming, right? So he starts firing arrows down at me. I walk underneath him, and he keeps firing arrows. You can hear him. He's got no line of sight, but you can hear him firing arrows, right? So I went around the corner and found a way up onto the back ledge to get behind him. Well, when I got up on the upper ledge and I came down this little pathway towards him, I was expecting him to be ready for me or coming towards me. No, he had gone back to attention and was just standing there. So I walked up behind him and backstabbed him, right? So that's like, I don't know if that has to do with the difficulty scaling or if it is just dumb AI.
Yeah.
Right.
Hopefully, well, this is a 2023 game, right?
Yes.
So hopefully they got time.
They've got months. They got tons of months to polish it. But no, overall, I like the style of the game. Again, it's Team Ninja. So, you've got good blood flying. The parry moves and that kind of stuff are easier than I expected. They're not simple by any stretch of imagination, but the timing is much easier. They give you a much better idea of when you should parry. So I was having a good time with that as well. So overall, I think this game really could be something cool. I mean, I definitely do, and I like the style. I'll be day one. It's Game Pass. I'll be there.
I think the demo is also available for like 2 weeks. So if anyone wants to get in like soon, because it won't be there for that long.
And you can earn, I believe, a helmet, right? I think you can believe, and there's tons of loot too. By the way, there's tons of loot. So you are finding new weapons, new armor.
Does it have a cosmetic effect on you? Or?
Yes, it does. When you put it on, you see it. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, super cool.
I'm glad demos are coming back in a certain way. Like I love demos. I think, like it's cool that they come back.
It's weird that it's a limited time demo though.
Yeah, but that's okay too. I just wish we'd have gotten Liza P demo. I don't know why we didn't get all these demos at TGS, and if they've got them on the show floor and they're letting the general public play them, I don't know why we didn't get all those demos on Xbox. I wish they would cut a deal for all that.
Yeah,
I would
like to see them have to pay extra showcases, right? Subscription.
Yeah,
for some showcases.
Yeah, what did you say, Fuzz?
I was saying at least we didn't have to pay extra for them in a subscription. So.
Right, correct. But no, I think it's got a potential for sure, and I love Team Ninja. So
I haven't had a chance to try it yet.
That Rise of Ronin game, I'm mad is PlayStation exclusive.
I'm more excited for that than Wolong.
Personally, me too. It's more my style. It kind of differs. I feel like when PlayStation does a deal with a publisher, it's an exclusive deal. And when Microsoft does a deal with a publisher, it's coming to Game Pass and it still shows up everywhere. Right? Yep. I prefer that. Just saying. All right. So shout out to everybody in the chat. Wow, 97 people still hanging out watching right now. We got awesome people in the chat have been here watching this whole show. If you like the content that we do here, if you like fun speculation, you like all of our stuff, hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Appreciate each and every one of you. See if we can't hit 100 likes before the end of the show. That could be one of our first, one of the few times we've actually hit 100 before the end of the show. But yeah, we got more games, guys, to get into because Tokyo Game Show was pretty damn strong for Xbox. Like there wasn't a whole lot of brand new stuff coming, but there was a few, and then there was some games that, again, like we said, have been avoiding Xbox. Now those franchises are coming back. So one of those, Persona 5 Royal, started off the show. And
also, Street Fighter had a big show today too. They went in depth with Street Fighter.
I need to.
If you want more info on that,
we're gonna talk about Street Fighter after for sure because I gotta get into that. But the Persona 5 Royal was started off the show, and I think that's been selling out physically. I've been seeing
Yes.
on Xbox.
Xbox has been selling out.
I thought people didn't buy Japanese games on Xbox.
Nope, not at all. Never.
Weird. That's such a weird, strange thing.
It's because they only make 5 copies for the Xbox, and no one buys it. So that's sounds like
okay. Yeah, it's such a strange thing that nobody buys Japanese games on Xbox. The Xbox gamers aren't interested in Japanese games. Fuck that narrative. I'm just gonna say there's a lot of Xbox gamers that are, and also if you put more of them on, guess what? You're gonna attract more people to buy the platform and get invested in the ecosystem that are interested in those games. It's like a dumb excuse. If you want to bring
if you
in people,
only,
you gotta have what they want, right?
If you only import like let's say you have a series of Japanese games and it goes from like 1 to 12, and you only put like 5 on Xbox, then how are you expecting people to like trust that you're gonna put the other ones on? So they get into 5, like, okay, I enjoyed that one. All right, what about 6? What about 7? What about 8? And I feel like that's a huge problem with at least Final Fantasy and some other franchises.
Well, Square's
like randomly throwing Crisis Core on Xbox.
Yeah.
Like
let me throw Crisis Core, but not the other ones, and then expect it to do
Isn't that
well.
coming to Switch also?
Yes, I believe it is.
Yeah, I think they showed that on Switch. I was like, oh, okay.
But yeah, Persona 5 Royal I think is going to do big on Xbox, and Atlas finally bringing their games. It will be big. Which is also
Persona 4 Golden hits though, because it's never hit console anywhere before, and now it's coming to console. That's going to be gigantic.
There's Persona characters in Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle also, which I didn't know. I was like confusing me when I was watching that trailer. I was like, is this Blaze Blue? Or because I skipped that one because it wasn't on Xbox. Also, Exo Primal was shown again. That game is getting more enticing for me the more we see it, especially when they started showing customizing those skins for the mechs. Fuzzy, have you been keeping up with Exo Primal? Is that something you would check out?
Not as much, but I
it's not a
from
racer.
The first day that they showed it, the fact that it was like an Anthem meets Dino Crisis kind of thing. I'm willing to give it a try. But
Fuzzy, you can control a T-Rex. That's it. It's sold.
Yeah,
you can control a T-Rex. Oh my god.
Was it like a lasso collar or something like that?
Yes.
And you can put them through a wormhole. Yeah.
And you can send them after the other team. Oh my god, I can't wait.
That's gonna be cool. That's definitely going to be fun. But yeah,
I think they showed off more of the story for that at the Xbox show, because they've been showing off the multiplayer before.
At the Capcom show, they showed it also again. Yeah. And it looks pretty cool. It has an interesting story, but more than that, it just looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of dumb fun with friends, where they have like class systems where you have a tank and you have like a support.
Second Extinction to be.
It's gonna be a unique game for sure. I feel
it's gonna be different.
Yeah. I just hope the Capcom servers work, because usually they're ass.
Then we got Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle Special Edition coming to Xbox, coming to Game Pass in 2023. And again, in this one, it's characters from, like I said, Persona, Under Night and Birth, and Ruby web series, to mention a few. The game was released in 2018 on only PlayStation, Switch, and PC. Also, this is one of the reasons I was getting into like the whole Arc System Works thing, is Guilty Gear Strive as well, which has been a pretty successful damn game for a while now. It won Best Fighting Game at the Game Awards in 2021, and that's making its way over to Xbox finally. Then you got Rocket Blade Point made an appearance with some more campaign talk here as well. And that's also was announced it's coming to Xbox One, I believe. Correct?
Oh, sorry. Did you see
What'd you say?
Naraka
Hideo post a picture with Phil like just 10 minutes ago?
Who did?
Phil Spencer and Hideo Kojima.
Oh, really? Nice. Well, we know they've got a game coming as well, right? So then we got Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony. So this is the third of the Danganronpa games finally making its way to Xbox. Then we got a new hero for Overwatch 2 with Kiriko. Then there was Chris Jones' game he's hyped about, Aiden Chronicles 100 Heroes. They had something called that Dyson Sphere program. It was like a PC game.
It's a city builder, yeah, on like
Yeah.
space. There's just city skylines, whatever, but in space, pretty much.
Yeah, that was interesting to show up. And one thing that's kind of been under the radar is the Forza Horizon 10-year anniversary. They have some new content coming out for that. They showed this here.
I thought they
some
were
new
going to show
modes.
something else because it was like 2008 Forza Horizon 1 or whatever. They kept going by the years. So I was like, are they going to do Japan 2023? But it's like,
and then at one game, I know you've been talking about, Jasper. I saw you on Twitter, and this actually looked pretty interesting to me. Is Pal World. This is like I'm going to read what Yahoo said. It said, "Have you ever wanted Pokemon but with guns and grenades?"
Did you say Yahoo?
Yahoo. That's how I say it. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, you Texan.
Yeah, Yahoo.
you dicks.
Sorry,
You Texan.
Yahoo.
Look here, Hoss. That's how we say it.
As Yahoo says, Pal World. It said, "Have you ever wanted Pokemon but with guns and grenades?" Well, Pal World is here and is the answer to those prayers. Pal World is a multiplayer open world survival and crafting game where you collect Pokemon. Pals who will fight, farm, and build for you. Pal World had already been touted for Steam, but today it was announced it's coming to Xbox consoles in 2023. This game looked pretty actually impressive.
Steel is hype too.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool, man. What was weird about it was watching it, I was like, it almost looked like what Everwild could have potentially been or something, because you're walking around with these like big ass creatures, right? And you're like walking around and doing stuff.
I just want to shoot some of those little bastards.
Yeah, it looked. Did it not look fun? Like, I don't know. Jasper, is this like high up on your list now?
It was definitely like the game I was most excited for out of that show. Like,
right.
Honestly, so
okay. Assassin's Creed Odyssey just hit Game Pass. It was a shadow drop for the Tokyo Game Show. Unless it had already been announced, I don't think it had been. I think that it was rumored that it was going to happen. So we got that. We got Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the Rich remastered, hit Game Pass, a shadow drop there as well. That's another one that skipped Xbox before. It was
we're also getting number 2 as well.
Yep, we're getting number 2 in 2023. I think the first one was a PS3 exclusive, and it was a massive hit at the time. I got great
Ghibli
reviews.
Animation, it's gorgeous. Yep.
Excited to go back and try the first one when that hits. Or actually, it's there. I just haven't been able to have a chance. So, Fuga Melodies of Steel is also another one that dropped into Game Pass. So this show had multiple games hitting Game Pass instantly, which was pretty cool to see. You gotta love that. I haven't had a chance to even check any of these games, but I've also, be honest with you, I've been really into NBA, and I'm kind of addicted right now to the crunch time mode on there, which I told Pong last night. I had to hit tier 40 on crunch time, and I did. Ridiculous. I hit tier 40, and I got my team up. Then
sweaty.
I'm not even a 20 yet, for God's sakes. I did work the auction house today though to get my team a little bit better. So.
Yeah, nice. Yep. I gotta dig into that later, Pong, and see what you got. Deathloop was announced as coming to Game Pass. Yay! So I can retract my video where I was so like, what the fuck's going on, when they announced it for PlayStation Plus Extra and with no sign of it coming to Xbox. And I was thinking potentially that would keep it off of Xbox Game Pass for a few months, but turns out they're just abiding by the PlayStation contract and allowing them to have this game as part of their first rights of refusal. But I guess it did not restrict them from being able to put it on their own service as well. So we got that game's hitting PlayStation Plus Extra and also hitting Xbox Game Pass on the 20th. So Deathloop is an awesome game, right? I've seen people trying to shit on it for some reason because it's made by an Xbox studio, but
I'll be honest, that what they
really
showed kind of like turned me off that game.
It's good, Jasper. I don't know. You may not be you're up your alley.
It's arcane.
I know,
Jasper,
that's the problem. That's what turned me off of it.
See, you're one of the arcane not fans. They're arcane games never sell well because there's, again, for whatever reason, some people just don't like arcane games. But if you love them, you love them.
I'll tell you, the controls on this game feel better than any arcane game I've ever played.
Yes.
Right. 100%. It's more smooth, like a more of a traditional first-person shooter feel, as opposed to other arcane games kind of feel like real slow and clunky kind of with the controls. This is a lot better, Jasper. A lot better. So
Not
if
a
that's
lot
been
of
your detraction, I think you may like this.
PlayStation games utilize what Arcane did with Deathloop, like the way the features they did with the controller on Deathloop with the PS5 was actually really cool.
Yeah.
Um.
Well,
But yeah,
this will
now it's
get
coming out.
cross play also.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
PS5
Yep.
players that jump into the world, they can play.
Or
with...
is it just PC and Xbox?
No,
crossplay?
it's crossplay between
Okay.
Xbox and PlayStation. So you can invade PlayStation gamers' games and fuck them up, and they can invade your game and fuck you up. So it'll be
But
interesting.
they don't play multiplayer games, so
That's true. So we'll see. I don't know. They play Call of Duty and FIFA and Madden and 2K online. I don't even know why PlayStation has online. Besides, they could just run the servers on those games and it'd probably be equally fine. Anyway, I'm talking shit. I'm sorry. I was joking. So overall, hey, successful show, you guys think?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Lots of great topics.
Yeah. No, I'm talking about the Tokyo Game Show.
Tokyo Game Show. Three is ready to get out of here. His girlfriend's there.
Yeah, I'm sure. But yeah, we're
got some 2-week-old food to eat.
But oh my god! Before we head out, though, I want to also mention the fighting game genre is back.
Yeah,
Street Fighter 6 is insane.
Yes.
That looks crazy. Tekken 8 even got shown at the State of Play the other day, and that looked awesome too. What we saw of it. Are y'all excited for the fighting genre to be lifting back up to prominence again?
Absolutely, because I mean, even earlier this year we had King of Fighters. They just did like a re-release for the JoJo's
Bizarre Adventure or whatever.
I mean, it's definitely making a comeback for the most part. I guess it goes to show when you try to keep a particular genre to one box, it doesn't do as well as it does when you have it everywhere. So it's great to see the Street Fighters back. Great that there's a new Tekken. I mean, I'm looking forward to a lot more of the fighting games that are coming out. And let's see what NetherRealm is mysteriously working on. But definitely looking forward to these upcoming games. And it's been a long time coming, because Street Fighter 5 only on PlayStation. I think they've learned a lot of lessons, or at least Capcom has, and probably other genre or other companies have learned as well not to do that anymore.
Yeah, well, everybody but Square is learning their lesson right now. It seems like Square just doesn't know what the hell they're doing.
Why are we doing? Why is our business not working?
We sold off all the dead weight.
Why didn't we sell any copies on Xbox? Oh, we forgot. We didn't even bring that out on Xbox. We'll give them a 5-year-old game. I'm sure that'll be a good success, a barometer for success to see if it's worthy of bringing games out on that platform. All right. So then, also, hey, Call of Duty. Yeah.
Bro.
Wish I could play it.
Did you watch anybody playing it? I watched. Shout out to 108 Dragons Lemon. He was streaming it today. He was playing with Clowns and everybody over there. Brother, even through the stream, the sound is probably the best sounding Call of Duty ever already. Yeah. Just from what I heard today, the guns, everything about that game, the maps, the couple maps that they had, I don't remember how many maps they had, looked fantastically laid out. Like get ready. This is
Tom Henderson said they're going to update the beta every day. They already got DLCs.
On PlayStation, you have to pre-order it on PlayStation to play right now, though, right?
Yeah, it will open up in 2 days for everyone, though.
I'm saying that this is probably going to break the records for Call of Duty when it's all said and done. I think this is going to be the one that is that comes back again.
And there's so much content there that this 2-year plan for this game is completely doable. And to bring it back, like, it's already been, people have found fan favorite maps, High Rise, Terminal, Quarry. Like, there's so many, like, nostalgia just going to hit you in the face when you play this game. Like, I'm got that factor. They got new stuff. I'm
kind of excited about that 2-player co-op mode. That sounds pretty fun. And also they have that 3v3 raids, which sounds like real tactical and slow paced and stuff too. Like, I don't know, man. I'm getting really. I was already amped for this COD more than any COD I've been since the original Modern Warfare games back on the 360. But the more I see and hear about this game and going back and watching that, it's like this is that next step.
There is some dumb ass stuff though that I'm concerned about.
The gulag.
Wait,
There's always going to be dumbass stuff. Come on.
Like they're
Is there
bringing
a
back
third person?
They're bringing back Last Stand. Yeah, there's a third person mode you can play.
Yes.
Were we saying 3-bit?
Oh, I was just saying, like everything I saw from Call of Duty looks very like positive to me. It just the fact that I don't know if I could even play because it hates my internet. But if I can, I would love to jump in and try it out.
And the way they changed looting in Warzone back to kind of like Blackout style, where it's slower and like a pain in the ass to navigate, like that's a concern for Warzone for me. Like we were kind of mentioning, like Pong kind of brought it up in the DMs when it was first being shown. He's like, "Is this just like BS features that it's already in the game? It's like they're just kind of reinventing or whatever." It's like,
Yeah,
maybe
Madden style.
yeah, because
like
they're like making a big deal about water, but it's like that was in Black Ops 3. You could go underwater and shoot underwater and stuff. So it's like that's not really a new feature, but they're kind of making a big deal out of it. So I'm wondering how much of that is like actually new stuff versus stuff that's already in the game. Like, is the raid just going to be like the Spec Ops missions that we had before? You know,
Right.
But like water to this extent was like it's a much bigger map than like Black Ops, right? I mean, this is Call of Duty standards, not like Battlefield, which has all these.
Was it though?
different
Because
features.
the Blackout map was a BR map that had a bunch of water. It had river systems you could swim through and stuff. So like,
Oh, yeah, I don't know. You might be right.
Bro, it's got car surfing. You can climb on top of the car. It's gonna be amazing.
No, let's go.
There's just so much excitement.
Just the gunplay and just the
the
fluidity. What I saw today out of the beta, it looks so much better than the past two games already. I mean, it just looks like they really. This is going to be the one.
How many gigabytes is it going to be?
King's back, 500 gigs at least.
Man, make some space, guys.
Every single game you have on your console.
Between that and NBA 2K23, I won't be able to fit anything else.
Didn't we talk about that way back in the day? That's like the ultimate plan of either 2K or of Activision.
So you can't buy any other games.
So big, you can't have any other game on your system. That's what they're gonna do.
So much to look forward to in this one, guys. I'm really looking forward to it.
Today, I was struggling to find something to play because I just want to play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Like, I was just starting a game like, I don't want to play this. I just want to play the new Call of Duty.
Yeah. I'll be playing the open beta. You know, the other promising thing for me with this is people playing the beta right now and experiencing good things. That's not what happened with the Vanguard beta, right?
Right. Vanguard beta right away. People were like, "What
the fuck is going on?" You know, like this is that's why it's the only Call of Duty game I have not bought still to this day. Since Call of Duty 2, that is. Anyway, all right, guys. We'll get everybody out of here. Appreciate each and every one of you for joining the show and taking the time to hang out with us as well. You guys rock. Hey, also for audio listeners, hey, we have an audio. We actually have our first audio supporter as well, which I don't even know exactly how that works, right? But on Anchor, there's a way. If you're an audio listener, you can go on there and choose to support the channel that way and support the podcast. So I appreciate those out there that do that, but also everybody that takes any 1 second to even watch any of our content, whether it's on here on YouTube or if you want to listen on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or Apple Podcasts, all that stuff. You all rock. Absolutely love you guys. All right, 3-bit. It seems like you want to go because your girl keeps trying to get your attention and say, "Get the fuck off the show." So hey, where can everybody find you, dude?
Yes. Everyone can follow me on Twitter at i3bit. It's been a pleasure being on here. It's always great being on the Xbox Ultimate with Pong and Jasper, and all you guys are amazing, and I love podcasting with you guys. So thank you. Awesome topics here today. We actually covered a lot that I wanted to cover in some other shows. So everyone follow me there. I'll see you guys on the next show. I am on FSP on Mondays, and then I'll randomly pop up in some other shows. So
right on, man.
I'll see you guys then. Take care.
Appreciate you, dude. Have fun, whatever it is you're about to do.
Be safe.
Yeah. The always fuzzy
Don't
one
forget to bring a
himself.
towel.
Oh my god. The always fuzzy one, Fuzzy Belvedere himself. Hey, Fuzz, awesome to have you on our shows all the time, dude. Appreciate you as always. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Oh, it was awesome being on here with you guys. So much fun, man. Definitely looking forward to FSP on Monday, and right back here on
We might have
Friday
big news
again.
for that.
No, I man, it's now going to be a weekly thing of Sony stepping on, rakes and popping themselves in the face with stupid stuff. But man, for anybody that wants to hear my endless ramblings on anything gaming, just follow me on Twitter, Fuzzy_Belvedere. Catch me on the Shop Podcast with PTK Blam and Pong Soul tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on PTK Blam's channel. Like I said, FSP on Monday right here on this channel, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Breakfast with Boom, 10 a.m. on Friday Eastern Standard Time. And then right back here again at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fun Speculation channel for Xbox Ultimate. Thank you, guys.
Thanks as always, Fuzz. Jasper, the realist. You weren't very much of a Debbie Downer today, only a little bit. You're pretty positive. No, I'm just kidding. You're great. Hey, where can everybody find Lord Master Jasper?
Yeah, just type that in on YouTube. You should find me. It's Lord Jasper on Twitter. And as Fuzzy was saying, it's FSP is on Mondays. And hopefully we have big news for that because Tom Henderson's been teasing a big story coming up on Monday. So
yeah,
interesting to see what that's going to be.
Yeah, he said like the biggest scoop ever or something like that. What is that?
Did he really?
Yeah. You didn't see it? I put it in the, I think it was the gaming chat.
I must have missed it. I must have been when I was working. Sorry. Wow. Okay.
It could be trolling also.
Yeah, it could be.
But anyway, we got that to look forward to, whatever that's going to be. And then on Friday, it's Xbox Ultimate. So check that out.
Nice, dude. Appreciate you as always, Jasper. And thanks for hopping in with the streams that we could do this week as well. Pong Soul.
Yes, sir.
The encyclopedia of gaming, dating back to the first game ever created. Where can everybody find you?
What an amazing night, brothers. Glad to be here. It was great topics, of course. And again, this was always fun, man. Hearing everybody else's opinion on this, and it was great to have 3-Bit back and join us again, which is ultra rare. But here we are. So that was awesome. Chat, you absolutely were amazing. Over 100 people in here almost the entire show. Chat was flying. Lots of good discussions in there. Appreciate you all for showing up on all of our different places that we are and even other podcasts. You guys do this because you want to enjoy this gaming hobby as much as we do, and we love talking about it, and you love talking about it. We can't do it without you. So thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Otherwise, you know the drill. Pong Soul on Xbox, Pong Soul on Twitter as well. And then, of course, tomorrow morning, you got to get up. You got to get ready. So get the alarm set because Living Split Screen is going to be live. The show must go on no matter how I'm feeling. So Steele and I are going to be talking about all this stuff. And plus, we'll probably have some of our rants in there as we always do. So be there tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. BST time or UK time, whatever you want to call it. Be there tomorrow morning, Living Split Screen. And then, obviously, tomorrow night, like Fuzzy said, the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam, Fuzzy Belvedere, myself, and I think, Fuzzy, correct me if I'm wrong, it is Silent Cypher tomorrow night as the guest. Always a great time with him. So be there tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Bring your questions because usually the second half of the show, as long as we got time, PTK opens it up and lets you guys kind of pick the topics. But we do have a lot to get through this week. It's going to be interesting tomorrow night for sure. Tuesdays, Xbox Factor Podcast. If I'm there, I'm there. Otherwise, you got to be there anyways. It's Double Barrel Gaming, the channel, Mr. Boomstick, the man, all good things green, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time, every Tuesday, be there. And then, of course, Thursdays, it's PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM. We are on a streak of guests that Mav set up. So we started out with Psycho, a brother from another Psychonauts, 2 weeks ago. We had Dealer on last night. I had to turn the captain's chair over to Mav because I certainly am not feeling 100%, and I didn't think my voice would make it through that. So Go check out last night's show with Dealer. It was awesome. We got through a ton of topics in about little over 2 hours, right, Mav? Last night, which was crazy. So go check that out. But this coming week, we are having a special PM in the afternoon. I'm sure Mav will reiterate it. 2 p.m. Central?
Yes.
2 p.m. Eastern.
3
Central?
p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern time.
3 p.m. Eastern time. PM in the PM is going to be an afternoon show because we have an extra special guest from across the pond. So we are making an exception for none other than the great Jez Corden from Windows Central. That's going to be an awesome show. So be there this Thursday. Again, we'll be putting out reminders this week as well to make sure everybody knows it. So that's going to be just one hell of a time on Thursday. Otherwise, it's the golden age of gaming, people. Get out there, play what you love what you play, and I will talk to you all real soon. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Yeah, right on, man. And I won't reiterate too much on PM of the PM. Pong sold that for Thursday at 3 Eastern time for Jez. It's going to be a great time. But Mondays, like Jasper said and Fuzzy said, you got FSP, Fun Speculation Podcast, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Every Friday night here at 9 p.m. Eastern, Xbox Ultimate. And if you want to catch me just playing whatever at different times, game streaming, usually in the evenings, and come check that out and just come hang out and say hello. I love to have the chat there to hang out and interact with while I'm playing games. And hey, you never know, whatever video might pop up or whatever co-stream event might be there. Try and cover as much as we possibly can for you guys, and I appreciate all the comments and support that you guys have given to the channel and to us here. We love you, and I hope you have a fantastic night. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later.